Tatooine. Sharply etched, the monoliths stand like sentinels keeping watch in a watery haze. A womp rat moves on 4 legs tipped with 3 clawed paws to get across the racetrack. In the distance, an engine whines. It gets louder, faster, and the womp rat bolts for its life. Too late. The womp rat flattens when the pod racers streak past, engines roaring with ferocious hunger and relentless drive. The heat and the light seem to shatter and the mountains themselves tremble. Anakin, a 15-year-old slave boy, rather compactly built, with a mop of light brown hair, blue eyes, and an inquisitive stare, leans into the curve of the raceway that takes him past the stone arch marking the entry into Beggar's Canyon on the last lap of the run, easing the thruster bars forward, giving the engines a little more juice. He has a metallic collar around his neck. The wedge-shaped rockets explode with power, the right a tad harder than the left, banking the pod in which Anakin sat sharply left to clear the turn. Swiftly, he adjusts the steering to straighten the racer, boosts power further, and shoots through the arch. Loose sand whiplashes in the wake of his passing, filling the air with a gritty sheen, whirling and dancing through the heat. He rips into the canyon, fingers playing across the controls, hands steady on the steering. Another racer banks too late and goes up to the service ramp. Intended to provide race personnel access to the race course for scavenging or repair work on chem droids, service ramps rose from the valley floors to higher ground. However, no pod racer successfully raced over the ramp and safely descended further along the circuit from beyond the pod racer's maximum repulsor lift altitude, including this unlucky sap, who falls into a distant rock formation and crashes to death. It is all so quick, so instantaneous. One mistake, one misjudgment, and one would be out of the race and lucky if he isn't dead. That is the thrill of it. All that power, all that speed, just at his fingertips, and no margin for error. A grin splits Anakin's young face as he injects a bit more power into the thrusters. Ahead, the canyon narrows and the shadows deepen. Anakin bears down on the slit of brightness that opens back onto the flats, keeping low to the ground where the passage is widest. Wrapped in his rough-made jumpsuit, his racing helmet, his goggles, and his gloves, he is wedged so closely in his seat that he can feel the rush of the wind across the pod's skin beneath him. When he races like this, he is never simply the driver of a pod racer, never just an additional part. Rather, he is at one with the whole, and engines, pod, and he is bound together in a way he cannot entirely explain. Each shimmy, each small throb, each tug and twist of strut and tie is apparent to him, and he can sense at any given moment exactly what is happening throughout the length and breadth of his racer. It speaks to him in its own language, a mix of sounds and feelings, and though it does not use words, he can understand everything it says. Sometimes, he thinks dreamily, he can sense what it would say before it even speaks. Anakin's pod burst forwards, screaming towards the pods ahead of them. He weaves in and out of his competition with a practiced ease, gracefully slipping past pod after pod. Eventually, he's through them, and he zooms ahead, leaving them in the dust. Row upon row of seats crammed with spectators cheering them on, past pit droids, repair stations, and the boxes where the Hutts watched in isolated splendor above the commoners. From an overlook in a tower centered on the arch, the two-headed droid who serves as announcer is shouting out their names and positions to the crowd.
And an amazing performance from human slave boy Anakin. He rockets ahead to 3rd place.
But Sebulba bearing NOP Shash.
Flamboyant, colorful, and not always too accurate, Fode and Beat are the popular announcers of the Bunta Eve pod race. The two are well suited for their chosen vocation. They are a two-headed alien that shares a single body. Fode, whose skin is tinted red, provided commentary in an easy basic drawl, while Bead, the green-hued head, provides a counterpoint in Huttese. A flash of gleaming orange metal shoots past Anakin on his right, and he watches the distinctive split X of Sebulba's engines flare out before him, taking away the lead he had seized through an unusually quick start. His brow wrinkles in disgust at himself for his momentary lapse of concentration and his dislike of the other racer. Sebulba is a twisted-looking male Dug and the biggest bully in Mos Espa. He can use all 4 arms interchangeably, as long as he leaves himself one to stand on, so his opponents can never tell where the next blow is coming from. It gives him a big advantage in most races and fights. Anakin knows Sebulba well, and knows better than to take chances with him. He rides the thruster bars forward, feeds fresh power to the engines, and rockets ahead. It doesn't help, he supposes as he watches the distance between them narrow, that he is human or, much worse, that he is the only human around here to drive in the pod races. The most famous racers, the best of a rare breed, are strangely shaped, complexly formed beings with a penchant for taking risks that border on insanity. But Anakin, while nothing like these, is so intuitive in his understanding of the skills required by his sport and so comfortable with its demands that his lack of these other attributes seems to matter not at all. It is a source of some mystery to everyone, and a source of disgust and growing irritation to Sebulba in particular. Arch Canyon rises broad and deep before him, an expanse of rock leading into Jag Crag Gorge, a twisting channel the racers are required to navigate on their way to the high flats beyond. Sebulba is just ahead, rocketing low and tight across the ground, trying to put some distance between Anakin and himself. Behind Anakin, close now, were 4 other racers spread out against the horizon. A quick glance reveals Mohanik, Giscano, Rimker, and Jenna, a Devaronian girl, maybe a little older than Anakin, trailing in his strange bubble pod. All 4 are gaining. Anakin starts to engage his thrusters, then draws back. They are too close to the gorge. Too much power there, and he would be in trouble. Response time in the channel is compacted down to almost nothing. It is better to wait. Mohanik, Rimker, and Giscano seem to agree, settling their pods into place behind his as they approach the split in the rock. But Jenna is not content to wait and roars past Anakin split seconds before they enter the cleft and disappear into the darkness of the cave. Anakin wonders why she made such a risky move. Anakin levels out his pod, lifting slightly from the rock-strewn floor of the channel, letting his memory and his instincts take him down the Laguna caves. When he races, everything around him slows down rather than speeds up. It is different than a normal one'd expect. Rock, sand, and shadows fly past in a wild mix of patterns and shapes, and he can still see so clearly. All the details seem to jump out at him as if illuminated by exactly what should make them so difficult to distinguish. He can almost close his eyes and drive, he thinks. He is that much in tune with everything around him, that much aware of where he is. He eases swiftly down the caves, catching glimpses of Jenna's engine exhausts as they flash crimson in the shadows. Far, far overhead, the sky is a brilliant orange, sending a frail streamer of light into the gap that loses brilliance with every meter it drops so that by the time it reaches Anakin and his fellow racers, it barely cuts the dark. When they emerge into the light once more, Anakin jams the thruster bars forward and streaks after Sebulba. Mohonic and Giscano are right behind. Ahead, Jenna has caught Sebulba and is trying to edge past. The lanky Doug lifts his split-X engine slightly to scrape against Jenna's pod. But Jenna's round shell eases smoothly away, unaffected. Side by side the racers tear across the high flats, headed for Bindy Bend. Anakin closes on them, drawing away from Mohonic, Giscano, and Sebulba's split-X. The big engines jump obediently as Anakin feeds fuel into the thrusters, and in seconds he is drawing alongside Jenna. Anakin and Jenna are even when they reach Bindy Bend.
It all comes down to this. Slave versus slave. Who will win?
Both racers can see the arena in the distance, and a figure of the winner's arch, the finishing line. Anakin guns the engine, blasting ahead. He's faster than his opponent's more unwieldy pod, and the goal comes ever closer. Anakin rockets forwards, and begins to relax. He's going to make it. Then his pod levels with that of his opponent's, and Anakin meets Jenna's eyes. She's gaunt and thin and her hands are calloused with sores. Her face is covered with bruises, and in those eyes, Anakin sees a desperation there. The desperation of someone who knows she can't lose, and of someone who knows she's about to. Anakin hesitates. His mind races. After a moment, Anakin kills the engine. His pod's momentum carries it past Jenna at first, but as the goal approaches, it starts to slow down. Jenna blasts past, aiming for victory. Then Anakin feels the backwash of the split-X engine's hammer into his pod. The treacherous Doug has whooshed past Anakin in a second and bore on Jenna. Anakin squeezes his eyes from the wind and heat from the engine's exhausts.
Sebulba going PJ ramming bam.
She's done for.
Anakin kicks the engine again to chase Sebulba. Sebulba presses a button on the control, and underneath his pod, a razor saw extends to sever Jenna's right Steelton control cable. Jenna, caught completely by surprise, swings the pod leftward in an automatic response that takes her right into a boulder. Her scream cuts short. Engines explode in a ground-shaking roar. Metal fragments of pod and engines careen away from the rock in a fiery shower, leaving a long black scar along the ravaged surface. Anakin might have gone the same way but for his instincts. Almost before he knows what he is doing, Anakin lifts away to safety before the wreckage can do its damage. Unfortunately, it is too late. Anakin's sudden wrenching of his pod's steering takes him spinning away, off course, and out of control. He pulls back on the steering, eases off on the thrusters, cuts the fuel supply to the big engines, and watches the ground rise up to meet him in a rush of sand and reflected light. He strikes the ground in a bone-wrenching skid that severs both control cables, the big engines flying off in two directions while the pod careens first left, then right, and then begins to roll. Anakin can only brace himself inside, spinning and twisting in a roil of sand and heat, praying that he doesn't wind up against an outcropping of rock. Metal shrieks in protest and dust fills the pod's interior. Anakin's arms are stretched out to either side, keeping him squarely placed through the pummeling the pod experiences as it continues to roll and then roll some more. Finally, it stops, tilted wildly to one side. Anakin waits a moment, then loosens his restraining belt and crawls out. The heat of the desert rises to meet him, and the blinding morning sunlight bears down through his goggles. Overhead, Sebulba sweeps under the winner's arch. Soon, the other pod racers streak, engines whining and booming. Silence follows, deep and profound. Anakin glances left and right at what remains of his engines, taking in the damage, and assessing the work they would need to operate again. Watto would not be happy. But then Watto seldom is.
Sebulba ba 1.
Once again, he is the Skywalker.
10 times no Lia du Ro, du Nupa record.
But could he keep the title of Skywalker in the last race of the Bunta Eve Classic?
Bunta Eve Magi continues. Who Isku round opens Dopa Oa's.
Anakin sits down with his back against the ruined pod, gaining what small relief he can from its shadow in the glare of Tatooine's twin suns.
Don't forget, it will open midday. Already the streets are so full, we can't even pilot my speed home.
If your last level is too none, visible currency club.
Anakin sees a land speeder arriving to pick the wreckage and the seared body of Jenna up. He is enraged at Sebulba. Jenna could have won the race if Sebulba had played fair. Jenna could have won easily. He sighs and tips back his helmet. The main hangar is cool and shadowy inside, the planet's heat shut out by the thick walls, but even here dust hangs in the air in hazy streamers caught by the ambient light cast by glow lamps. The wrecked pod racer and its engines had been transported by mechanic droids from the flats back to the hangar. Anakin had been transported back as well, though with somewhat less enthusiasm. He holds the back of his sprained right arm, giving him a sharp pain. It had been wonderful to survive the race, but it has become a central part of his memories. And he can't forget the flames rising from Jenna's wreck. It could have been him. Anakin's small, blue, dome-topped R2 astromech droid, R2-D2, comes to them to check it. R2-D2 beeps at Anakin.
I can fix it.
His thoughts are interrupted by the entrance of a dark-haired woman of around 40.
Anakin!
Mom,
Anakin's mother, Shmi, rushes to Anakin to embrace him. She is worrying as she always does.
I'm safe.
Thank the stars. Please don't ever hurt my heart again.
Shmi hates watching Anakin pilot in the pod races, but she can't help herself. She never said so, but he thought she believed that simply by being there she could keep him from coming to harm. And Anakin likes having her there. It gives him a strange sort of confidence in himself he does not like to think about too closely.
Boy!
Watto is yelling at Anakin from under his long snout. Watto is a bald, pudgy blue-gray alien, his wings beating so rapidly that all Anakin can see is a blur. He is only about half as tall as him, but he hovers so that his face is at the same level as his. Anakin bows stoically in place, his young face expressionless, his eyes fastened on the pudgy blue Toydarian hovering before him.
What is your bidding, Master?
Instead of responding with words, Watto responds by slapping Anakin across his face.
Do you have any idea what this is going to cost me, boy? Do you have any idea at all? Obachikappa.
Watto hovers before him, launching into Huttese without even thinking about it, choosing a language that offered a vast array of insulting adjectives he can draw upon. Anakin stands stoically in place, his young face expressionless, his eyes fasten on the pudgy blue Toydarian hovering before him. He is angry, but Anakin had seen him angry before and knows what to expect. He does not cringe or bow his head in submission, he stands his ground and takes his scolding unflinchingly. He is a slave and Watto is his master. Scoldings are part of life. Besides, Watto would wind down shortly now, his anger released in a manner that would satisfy his need to cast blame in a direction other than his own, and things would go back to normal. Shmi tries to cover Anakin.
Please, Watto! I will do the scolding.
Watto points his cane toward her face.
Shut it. I'm talking to him.
Anakin shouts back. He is shaking his finger at Sebulba.
It wasn't my fault. Sebulba was using illegal enhancements. He cheated again.
Watto shushes him.
You trying to get us all killed? Of course he cheated, boy. He always cheats. He is Jabba the Skywalker. That is how he wins.
Listening to their conversation, Sebulba is staring at the two, smiling, giving off a knowing gaze. A pair of lightsome Twi'leks work diligently massaging the duck's neck and shoulders as if giving it to an emperor.
You do problem, Jish. Nothing, sir. Sorrebu interruption. Eh.
Watto turns to Anakin and his mouth works as if chewing something, his snout wrinkling over his protruding teeth.
Maybe you should cheat just a little now and then. Maybe then you wouldn't crash my pod time after time and cost me so much money.
Anakin stifles an urge to curse at them. When it comes to cheaters, Sebulba is the worst in the galaxy. Anything goes in pod racing. The only thing that matters is who crosses the finish line first.
Rassa dui cuppa, pidankel.
The pudgy body lurches forward a few centimeters with each epithet, causing Anakin to step back in spite of his resolve. All three fingers of Watto's right hand point at the boy.
I shouldn't let you pilot for me anymore. I should find another pilot.
I think that is a very good idea.
Anakin's mother is quick to take advantage of a suggestion she would have made herself, if asked.
It's too dangerous in any case. He's only 15.
As my boy, my property, and I'll do what you want him to do.
Exactly. Which is why he won't race anymore if you don't want him to. Isn't that what you just said?
Anakin watches his mother appreciatively. Her lank, dark hair is beginning to gray, and her once graceful movements have slowed, but she is beautiful and brave. Shmi holds herself erect in the same way that Anakin does, refusing to concede anything to her condition. Watto regards her sourly for a moment more. To cool down the heated moment, Anakin grabs his cane.
Okay. Watto!
Did you just call me Watto?
Master, I will fix everything I ruined.
Watto spins around and flies at the boy. Anakin is already an accomplished driver in the pod races, something no human of his age had ever been before. He is gifted with building skills that allowed him to put together almost anything. He is useful to Watto in both areas, and Watto is not one to waste a slave's talent.
Maybe next year.
Next year? But the Buna Eve Classic isn't over yet.
Repair the engines and the pod in just 2 days. What are you, a Jedi? Quit dreaming.
I will repair the engines and the pod and make them as good as new. Better than new, in fact.
Watto seems confused by this. He works his mouth and trunk-like nose in a rooting manner.
Then you're forbidden to see her until you finish the repair.
What?
And you will start right now. Right this instant. Get to the shop and get to work.
Watto turns and heads off after giving Anakin a final withering glance. Anakin stands in the shadowed hangar for a moment, staring at nothing. He is thinking that he shouldn't have lost the race. Next time, and there would be a next time, if he knows Watto, he wouldn't.
Stid OLNT of Olight Boy B. T-top money.
Anakin's brow wrinkles in disgust at him. R2-D2 trails him. Anakin clenches his fist. His eyes are on fire. He imagines him flying his fist at Sebulba's jaw.
Nick Michawa, Wormo, Emo Kili Makonanki.
Or yours.
Anakin steps toward Sebulba. He imagines rolling on the ground, flailing at each other and kicking up dust until Shmi puts her hand on Anakin's shoulder.
Anakin, you'll have to tolerate him.
Anakin gets a grip. Punching Jabba the Hutt Skywalker would be one of the quickest ways to get killed by the Hutts on Tatooine. Sighing in frustration, Anakin turns and works on his own pod racer with R2-D2. The Twi'lek's red eyes lift to Anakin momentarily, interest flickering in their depths, then return quickly to their master.
You need to beat that pod racing fantasy out of Watto.
There will be a next time.
Annie, forget about the repair. Let's go back to the hovel. Dinner will be waiting.
The slave girl, the one we were racing against. She was forced to race. It was her last chance.
Jenna always hated driving in the pod races, but what choice did she have in the matter?
I couldn't just win like that. But Sebulba, what he did to her was... She needed that money.
That is the price we pay as slaves.
She was forced to race because she was good at it. Her master knew she was good at it, and whatever her master wanted of her she would do. Like Anakin, she has been a slave all her life. Rick Oli directs the transport toward a large yellowish planet that is steadily filling up the viewport as they approach its surface. The ship leaves a long smoke trail behind. Kagan and Obi-Wan walk into the cockpit. All they can see is the planet expanding before them, brighter and bigger until it blots everything else out. The blackness of space is gone now, blotted out by the increasingly proximate surface of Tatooine. Soon, clouds swirl over the planet's surface like steam rising from a cauldron. The ship descends through the atmosphere, submerging itself deeper and deeper into the swirling cloud. They can't see a thing.
The escape pod is safe.
We won't need it. The planet's surface is sandy enough to absorb the impact.
Distinct metallic thunk reaches them inside the ship as parts of the ship break and detach. An alarm sounds in the cockpit. The ship pierces through the carpet of clouds, revealing the breathtaking desertscape that spreads endlessly. Padme is taken away by the vastness of the desert. She has never seen such a sight in her life.
No kidding.
Still, hold on to anything solid you can grab. It's gonna be a rocky landing.
The passengers fasten their seat belts. They are still shaken in their seats while their consoles spark and smoke. They take a deep breath as the ship descends faster and faster. They wave at the increasingly dense smoke. Anxious and impatient, the Alderaanians cannot hide their panic. Bail Organa is the first one to voice it.
Pilot Oli, are you sure that this ship can withstand the impact? Not too weakened.
What if there is a boulder under the sand?
Kagan pretends to be relaxed, but uneasiness etches on his face and voice.
Calm yourselves. We're not in trouble yet.
Eyeing him in the closed, smoky confines of the cockpit, Padme's own eyes fill with tears in response to the increasingly bad air.
What yet? When do you think we're in trouble?
Are you not nervous?
Qui-Gon's voice tremors.
Either you're alive or you're dying. You won't know until it's come to pass. You can't control whether you live in this situation. If it's your time to go, it's your time to go.
So why worry? If it happens, it happens. It's a deliberate desensitization. It's a protection mechanism of their psyche. Eventually, you stop being scared.
That's a very optimistic way to view things when in hell.
Otherwise, we would go insane.
Gripping the seat, Obi-Wan wrenches on it as hard as he can. Neither the extra muscle nor additional adrenaline is necessary.
In practice, getting that drilled into your mind is harder.
Can you all be quiet? I'm trying to.
They feel their bodies being ripped away. The universe spins wildly around them, and for a brief moment, their sights are filled with alternating visions of the yellow planet, cockpit interior, and white clouds. Perhaps Bail Organa is right. Perhaps Tatooine is death. They black out. Scattering sands like splashing water, the ship jolts upward, falls, and hits the sand again, then slides down until it stops. It is like a being in a state of non-existence. A vacuum. Darkness and light at the same time. There is no air, but Anakin is breathing. Blurry image, like a mirage born out of Tatooine's desert flats, his thoughts are emblazoned with a vision so frightening he cannot bring himself to consider it fully, only to leave it just out of reach, simmering over fantasy. He is in a different place and time, in a world he does not recognize, in a landscape he had never seen. The gigantic bulk of light beam takes up. 3 shadowy humanoid figures in front of it move fanatically, seemingly dueling on the bridge. 2 against 1. The light behind them is so bright, it is hard to make out what is going on. As if this is a distant past unable to interrupt. One of the 2 falls from the bridge. The dream fades and is gone. Anakin blinks awake, rubbing at his eyes, yawning, and turning over on his side. Perhaps it was a premonition, Anakin thinks, as a vein pulses against the left temple of his head. He quickly rejects this notion. He knows a premonition when he has one, and knows that it is more than just a trick of the imagination mixing with subconscious desires. The vision of his fortress has been something else. Must have been just a dream, nothing more. He had been having a nap on the bed in his room at the hovel. The room is small, shabby, and old, hastily built some generations ago, probably housed dozens of slaves like Anakin for each century. Typical of quarters provided for slaves in this part of Mos Espa. Because the hovel is small, his room serves as his sleeping quarters, storage, and workroom. Anakin's eyes dart to a handmade Jedi doll he used to play with, placed on the shelf alongside cluttered parts. At some point, while listening to spacers talk of faraway worlds, he became aware of the Jedi Knights, the powerful peacekeepers of the Galactic Republic, who used lightsabers, a handheld weapon that emitted a lethal, truncated laser beam. Despite his limited knowledge of the Jedi, he sometimes had dreams of becoming one. Anakin wondered if any Jedi had ever heard of Tatooine, or if any had been born into slavery. Although he is aware he isn't leaving Tatooine anytime soon, every night, lying in the darkness of his small room that is cluttered with his various homemade devices and scientific projects, he vows he won't be a slave forever. Now Anakin feels nothing but a vast, indifferent emptiness. What is there to do to help himself if he cannot even fly the pod racer? Tatooine never changes. It is hot and dry, and he is wasting his talent and life on this wretched dunghill of the planet. Part of him, an increasingly large part, is growing more and more restless at remaining unfulfilled. This is not an uncommon feeling in youths his age, but for reasons Anakin does not understand it is much stronger in him. Anakin reaches his hand toward the Jedi doll on the shelf, pretending to be a Jedi he has heard from the legends. It doesn't flinch. He closes his eyes and tries his best, putting his best in his gesture. He tried this thousands of times before, just in hopes that it might work. According to some rumors, they say it only works when one truly believes in the Force. Some say it only works when one truly needs it to work. Some say it is a complete bogus. As he grows, he figures the latter is true. The sudden quarrels coming from the main room break the silence, and Anakin recognizes who this guest might be. A furious Watto is seething as he flies toward his bedside as Shmi is trying her best to subside his anger.
Boy, who told you to get back to your oval?
Please, Watto, he's too tired.
I told you to work right now.
Matching his energy, Anakin gets out of his bed.
But I sprained my right arm in the crash.
Watto hits his right arm with the cane, causing Anakin to scream.
Ow!
Shmi comes to Anakin, placing herself between him and Watto.
Suck it up. You have doubled the amount of work to do today because of your crush.
Suppressing his urge to lash out, Anakin obeys and leaves the room, following Watto. When Anakin's room is empty, there is silence. We stay in the room. Seconds later, the Jedi doll falls off the shelf. Anakin watches the towering walls of the racing arena, far from the garage. Today's race has long since ended and the planet's twin suns are dropping toward the horizon with evening's slow approach. They will soon prepare for the next race of the Bunta Eve Classic 2 days later. Rough dust wind blows. Anakin closes his eyes. When Anakin is not racing, his job is to look for parts in the small mountain of busted-up space vehicles Watto has collected or fix up the ship parts. Sometimes he hates the work, but it's taught him a lot. He doubts there are many 15-year-old humans around Tatooine who know half as much about mechanical stuff as he does. Today, Anakin has a double amount of work to do. He has to put Watto's podracer back together with his droid. Although battered and bent, the pod is largely preserved, with its control panel functional. The right engine is almost untouched, if he ignores the scrapes and tears in the metal skin. The left is a mess, though, and its parts need to be completely replaced. He crosses to the mountain of trash. Already his mind is working on what it would take to make the podracer operable again, looking for salvageable, what is compatible. Pick droids come out at his beckoning and set to work removing the damaged parts of the racer. He is only minutes into sorting through the scrap when he realizes there are parts he needs that Watto does not have on hand, including thermal varistats and thruster relays. He would have to trade for them from one of the other shops before he could start on a reassembly. Watto would not like that. He takes a part he found from the mound and tries to assemble it to the right engine. It won't fit, incompatible. Furious, he then kicks it across the yard.
Fidget! Just fidget!
Anakin holds his sprained right arm. It's still painful. Anakin looks up to find the signature contrail of a single ascending ship streaking the flat dark blue of the sky like chalk on slate, departing Tatooine. He stares at it for a moment. It reminds him there is more to the universe than life on Tatooine.
Hey, Annie!
A voice shouts to him from the back of the garage, and a pair of boys around Anakin's age wave his hand outside the fence. It is Owen, creeping into view with Wald, another friend, following close behind. He is a stocky boy, with short brown hair, a few bristles, and a wide face, his clothing loose and nondescript. Wald, trailing uncertainly, is a Rodian, and several years younger than him, but bold enough that they let him hang around with them most of the time. They are all wearing the same bomb collars Anakin is wearing.
Owen!
Anakin begins climbing a mound of dusty junks piled up in the corner of the yard, using the most minuscule hand and footholds, trying not to collapse it. This mountain of parts is 3 meters high, but Anakin is oblivious to danger, like a circus performer, and the junkyard is his stage. When he reaches the top, he looks down at the guests outside. Owen and Walt have seen Anakin pulling this stunt since they first met him, but they can't help but hold their breath every time he does it.
We saw you race.
I almost won.
Almost?
Owen points to Anakin's wrecked pod racer.
You'll have to buy a new pod racer.
Watto won't spare me a coin. He will insist he already has everything to fix the pod racer.
Watto hates asking for parts from other shops, unless it comes from off-world. He'd rather win what he needs in a pod race, or simply steal it. Owen glances around, keeping a wary eye out for Watto.
There's always next year. Come on, let's go before old Flapping Wings gets back.
I can't, Owen. I have to stay and work on this until...
Yeah, but not today. Tomorrow's soon enough for that. Let's go get a ruby blail.
It is his favorite drink. Anakin feels his mouth water.
What do you buy those drinks with?
Owen motioned toward Wald.
He's got 5 druggets he says he found somewhere or other.
Anakin gives Wald a sharp look.
He says...
Wald's strange, scaly head nods assurance, his protruding eyes blinking hard. He pulls on one green ear.
Yeah, I believe you.
He doesn't. Smoothly, Anakin jumps down to the ground, into the side of the junkyard. His landing is graceful. From Owander and Wald's side, Anakin looks as if he is in a prison yard due to the fence. It isn't a far-fetched analogy for slaves.
But my hands are tied today.
If you say so, Annie.
They head off and down the road behind.
I'm just saying, that piece of junk will never be off the ground again.
I'm gonna show you!
Anakin starts to say something more in defense of himself, then decides against it. Better to let them think whatever they want for now. R2-D2 next to him beeps at him.
I ain't stealing no more. Tourists.
He stares at the arena, then to the broken pod racer. After a moment, he glances around doubtfully, keeping a wary eye out for Watto. Anakin shakes his head.
No.
He goes back to the pod, trying his best to fix what scraps he has. Footnote. Redone significantly ages Anakin up from a preteen to a teenager, and there are several reasons for this. First, this gives Anakin more of an active role as a character without the story treating Anakin as a literal child in a large part of the story. Second, it keeps the consistency of actor and character throughout the trilogy, familiarity for the audience. You can cast, let's say, Hayden Christensen in Episode 1 and keep him throughout the trilogy without changing the actor. Though if I were to cast an actor for Anakin, I would have picked Joseph Gordon-Levitt or Jake Gyllenhaal. Third, it makes Anakin's achievements in this movie more believable. I am aware Star Wars is a space opera, but a 9-year-old child winning a pod race no other human was able to join, let alone win, piloting a starfighter, and single-handedly destroying the Trade Federation capital station out of accident comes across as sheer absurdity. This is something I will talk about later. Fourth, while Luke's age issue in The Empire Strikes Back was valid, as the early 20s is obviously old for anyone willing to learn to be a lifelong religious like being a Jedi.
He is too old.
The Jedi Order not accepting Anakin because a 9-year-old is too old is a badly thought lore point from Lucas.
No, he will not be trained. No. He is too old.
This is Lucas jamming this point in there just to make a connection to Luke in Empire, but if you want Anakin to mirror Luke's journey, then cast an older actor so it at least matches Luke's character. Having Anakin a 15-year-old makes the Jedi Council's hesitance to accept Anakin because of an old age more understandable. The problem with how the film sets up the characters is that there is no character like Luke. When I'm saying Luke, I'm talking about how Luke functioned in the original Star Wars movie. Luke worked as the window for the audience to look into the galaxy. By the time Anakin gets introduced, it is too late as the audience has already learned about the rules of the world in the most unengaging way possible. Redone changes Anakin's entire introduction. The movie didn't establish how crazy difficult Anakin's race would be. There was no setup for how dangerous a pod race is, and if there is, it's all done through little expository dialogues, not visuals. It would be like Top Gun Maverick if it didn't have all those grueling training sequences, which would rob the thrill when they succeed in the mission. Redone gives Anakin the new one that partially takes inspiration from the novelization and the user Himdogson's rewrite. The introduction sequence is now a story of its own, a pod racing scene that shows how his pod racer was destroyed. The Bunta Eve Classic is now a series of multiple races rather than a single race. This action scene is a brief taste of the pod racing set piece that shows Anakin's rivalry with Sebulba, making it more satisfying for Anakin to destroy Sebulba's pod racer and win the race at last. This introduction also sets up multiple things at once: what it means to be a slave on Tatooine, how Anakin cares for the others, Anakin working as an engineer at the Watto's repair shop, Sebulba as a monster who has been continuously winning in several races, and Jabba the Hutt's dictatorial influence on the planet, all done with the principle of show, don't tell. Having the new action sequence shows Anakin's potential. The movie keeps saying Anakin is powerful in the Force, but it's never illustrated in the story. He can pilot pod racers, but there is never a "use the Force, Luke" moment where we can clearly see how unnaturally talented he is or how his abilities aid him in any way. He doesn't move especially fast or preemptively as a Force-sensitive might. He moves like a clumsy 10-year-old, which Jake was. For example, they never set up, there is that pass in the Beggar's Canyon, and the pod racers who go there and fly up in the sky never return to the track, and have Anakin survive it. By having this sequence set a lot of the obstacles Anakin will face when he races later, the audience can understand the stakes and catharsis when Anakin pulls it off. If you are confused by the usage of the name Skywalker, in an ancient evil, Skywalker is a title that is given to a pod racing champion, sort of slang. Anakin is just Anakin with no family name. I am aware this change will be compared negatively to that scene in Solo, a Star Wars story, but in this case, I would argue this change works in favor of Anakin's characterization. Han's Solo name was not a question anyone was asking. It is an unnecessary backstory. Kenobi, Solo, Organa, Calrissian. They're all unusual but not out there names. Skywalker sticks out as if it screams, main character. Some theorized Skywalker is a common surname like Smith in the Star Wars universe, but literally no one else in the galaxy has the surname of Skywalker. I have never seen anyone having this name other than the Skywalker family. I believe Anakin not having a surname reinforces Anakin's status. If look at the modern Caribbean, loads of black people have Scottish surnames because they just took their old owner's surname. They had not needed one before. Watto's resemblance to a racist Jewish caricature was infamous and panned upon its release. While I chose not remove his character design entirely, getting rid of his hat and Middle Eastern accent alone improves a great deal. The two suns burn down out of a cloudless blue sky, washing the vast desert wastes of the planet in brilliant white light. The resultant glare rise off the flat, sandy surface in a wet shimmer of blistering heat to fill the gaps between the massive cliff faces and solitary outcroppings of the mountains that were the planet's sole distinguishing feature.
Your Highness!
The pilot wakes up Padme strapped on the seat. Padme opens her eyes and coughs off. Oli gives her his helping hand.
Are you all right?
They feel a sudden tilting of the cockpit, and the ship begins sliding further down the slope of the sand. It then halts when the front of the Nubian royal starship half sinks into the sands.
I'm okay. Not sure about this ship.
At least that takes care of hiding the transport.
Kagan gets up from his seat.
From one great trial to another.
I feel as though some hand is guiding us to a certain doom.
Fear is the path to the dark side.
Now, who's parroting Master Yoda?
I wish you would have parroted me as much as I followed my master.
When we get to Coruscant, I should ask the Chancellor to decree that all Jedi must demonstrate an emotion at least once a year.
Maybe she should, Kagan thinks.
I suppose it's better to have a sense of humor in a crisis than to have none at all.
The Jedi and the Alderaanians look around the main hold of the ship. They cough and examine the damage. Padme lowers the ramp so that the smoke will leave and returns to the main hold.
Did you find anything?
Padme hands him a useless heap of smoking metal. Obi-Wan's eyes snap open.
A homing beacon?
Found it attached to the hull.
I thought as much.
They must have installed it before we escaped Alderaan.
Had it been intact, Your Highness, whoever chasing us would have known our exact crash site.
Obi-Wan voices everyone's own unease.
But they must have tracked which planet we landed on before it broke.
Whoever chases them, they will soon arrive at Tatooine.
We need to leave quick.
Rick Oli points at the damaged parts in the ship.
The shield generator, the hyperdrive, all broken to scraps.
Tatooine is still recognized as part of the Republic territories, isn't it? Surely we can find the means of sending a message to Coruscant.
We're landed on a planet renowned for its crime lords and bounty hunters, and it's likely the Separatists have put a bounty on us.
Even if they haven't, are you willing to risk advertising our location?
If word gets out, Your Highness, I'm sure half the planet would love to sell you to the Hutts or the Separatists.
Although drawing the Separatists' attention off from Queen Antilles is part of the plan, she can't be drawing too much attention. Everyone sees her as a valuable hostage, and everyone would love to make money by holding her ransom. They can't risk a communication with Coruscant this far out on the edge of the galaxy. It will be intercepted and their position revealed. They will have to get by on their own. Rising, Padme looks grave.
So we're stranded?
Don't panic, Your Highness.
He turns to the lowered ramp where the blinding sunlight of Tatooine streams from.
Tatooine is a hub planet of Outer Rim spaceports. There's a trading center that should have what we need.
We should be able to make needed repairs, then travel on to Coruscant.
Be wary. Our enemies are right on our tail, and we don't want to attract attention.
The pilot sighs, not for the first time.
There's fitting clothing in the wardrobe over there. I'll stay and watch over the ship with Prince Organa. See if any of this mess is fixable.
The thing Padme hasn't expected about Tatooine is the light. And the air so dry that it is painful to breathe too rapidly. The twin suns are just far enough apart to erase each other's shadows, except beneath the largest cliffs. At dawn and sunset, buildings and people cast long, double shades, but during the main part of the day, everything is drenched in light. It is ironic that such a light-soaked planet should be home to so many criminals and outcasts. Obi-Wan, Kagan, and Padme have changed their clothing. The Jedi Knights have dressed now as farmers in tunic, leggings, and a poncho, and the girl dressed in rough peasant's garb. Kagan and Obi-Wan use the Force together to spray the sand from a dune on top of the ship as if splashing water to cover the ship fully. When there is no more smoke or reflection light coming from the Nubane ship, they start their trek across the brightly lit desert toward the city of Mos Espa, the navigation system called it, barely visible in a mirage, glimmering through the shimmer of the midday heat. Padme looks at her new clothing. The wind sweeps through the canyon, sending sand pattering against her clothes. The only garments that resemble the regular clothing were the ones worn by the Alderaanian farmers. Her eyebrows rise, and she gives Kagan a quick, questioning look.
I don't think our clothing would fit in. Are there even farms in a place like this?
Moisture farms for the most part, operated by off-worlders not a part of the indigenous tribes and scavengers.
Jabba the Hutt, one of the nastier characters in the galaxy. The deserts are notorious for scavengers, mostly Jawas. The permanent dwellers are moisture farmers. They're the ones with a hard life, because they're honest.
The few spaceports like this one are havens for those that don't wish to be found.
Like us.
Padme gives them a fleeting look of respect. Then her eyes scan the canyon overhead. Empty. All she can see is the wide sky. Her gaze returns to sweeping the town.
There are a few questions I'll ask down there, and most of those could be answered simply enough with cash.
We'll try the smaller dealers first, Your Highness.
I don't think it's wise to address me by my title here.
They then begin trekking toward the town afar. The sky is an inky blue after the long, sinister spacecraft that attacked the Nubian ship landed in a cave in an isolated mesa. A saddle-shaped speeder bike with no weapons in evidence, made to rely on quickness and maneuverability rather than firepower, is hovering under the ship's nose. Outside, a sea of coarse sand surrounds Maul. He studies the horizon, sweeping the area with his electrobinoculars. He can just make out the spaceport of Mos Espa in the distance. It wouldn't take him long to narrow the search to one small planet like Tatooine. They are in his grasp. Maul turns on a large hologram device on the ground until he is satisfied that no one is around him. The black-cloaked figure of Darth Sidious appears in the hologram form and brightens the cave surroundings. Sidious regards him silently. There is no hint of expression on his shadowed countenance, which is mostly hidden within the folds of the cloak's hood, but the rigid posture of the Sith Lord's body speaks volumes. No one but Maul can know his identity. Maul kneels before the hologram.
The Queen is trapped with the Jedi on Tatooine, Master. If the trace was correct, I will find them quickly.
You have done well, my apprentice. Move against the Jedi first.
At last, the Sith will devour them.
Although he knows this already, it gratifies Maul to hear it. His master does not praise him often. As always, his orders from his master are strict, do not attract attention. No one must know of the existence of the Sith. Maul does not mind waiting. He uses his time wisely. Waiting time is training time.
You are too hasty. Hire bounty hunters and let them do the job.
Bounty hunters? Appalling. The depths of bad taste. How are we to justify associating with them?
Sidious expressions contort.
How fortunate I am to have an apprentice who feels it is appropriate to lecture me.
Maul grasps his mistake and drops his gaze. His master has taught him that power used indirectly can be just as effective as a full-scale assault. They do not need to be on the front lines. They can hire fools to do their fighting. His master controls their actions. He rules through fear and intimidation. It never fails. One day they will rule openly. But until then, they will use others to conquer.
I have overstepped, My master. I am only observing, not arguing. Not at all.
Be patient. Remember, what is done in secret is great power.
The hologram of Darth Sidious fades off and the cave darkens again. His relationship with his master is complex. He rules him. He orders him and directs him. Yet they are both Sith Lords, and though he is his apprentice, he shares some of his power. As Maul has grown, so has his confidence in him. He stands by his side, but slightly behind, in his shadow. Darth Maul gets on the speeder bike and pilots it toward the city of Mos Espa. Technology pleases him. He personally retrofitted his speeder bike with an advanced ignition system. It is agile and fast. The Jedi don't have a chance of outrunning him. The two suns overhead broil the earth, sending waves of heat upward that batter against his body like solid walls. The light is blinding. Yet Tatooine is the kind of planet he prefers. Maul feels comfortable with its harshness. It operates outside the Senate's laws. It's full of criminals and drifters, but they crowd into the spaceports. Vast areas of the planet are left to hide in. Stealth is currently his best weapon against the Jedi. Footnote. In the original trilogy, our heroes either constantly chase for something or get chased by someone. In The Phantom Menace, Maul only arrives at Tatooine after Kagan wagers with Watto for a pod race. This means the 20 minutes of scenes of Kagan wandering around the town, meeting Watto, Anakin, and Shmi, talking with Padme and Obi-Wan about midi-chlorians, the introduction of 3PO and R2-D2, Jar Jar's slapstick on the dinner table are tensionless. If no one is chasing them, there is no urgency for our heroes to progress further. Lucas must have realized this while writing a script, too, because Darth Maul's arrival on Tatooine comes across as an afterthought. He, correctly, had Maul get on Tatooine and look for the Jedi, but Maul does nothing throughout the whole Tatooine segment. Maul only lands on Tatooine right before the pod race, and makes contact with our heroes halfway into the movie when he ambushes Kagan in the desert, and by that point, the Tatooine section was literal seconds from being over. My guess is that Lucas couldn't figure out how to have Maul attack the Jedi without distracting Anakin's storyline, so he didn't try at all. For more than the first half of the movie, you have no dominant villain for the heroes to fight or be scared of. Whom should we be scared of until then? Literally no one, so the audience isn't worried for our heroes. This would be acceptable had the audience cared about the droid occupation of Naboo, which I will talk about later in the rewrite. Redone makes Maul on the Jedi's tail as early as the first act by ambushing the Jedi in space. Right after our heroes are trapped on Tatooine, by immediately showing Maul has arrived and is hunting them, it reframes the following scenes as suspense. Now, our heroes are in danger they are not aware of, and everything they will do on the planet is pushing them into an inevitable conflict. In other words, this raises the stakes in the Tatooine part. On the conversation between Maul and Sidious, while the basic chunk of dialogue is the same as the one they have on Coruscant in the movie, the dialogue has been recontextualized to serve a new purpose to hint at their plan to destroy the Jedi, whereas the original dialogue was too short and only reiterated things the audience already knew. I also wrote a moment in which Maul is scared by Sidious, which conveys that Sidious is the master and a bigger threat looming for the Jedi. This is a commonly cited criticism, but the film bends the plot backward to force the Queen and the Jedi to be stranded on Tatooine, as if they couldn't have found a way to leave the planet, as if they couldn't have found a hologram communication device, make a call to the Jedi Temple, or send a message to the Republic, or hire a smuggler. In A New Hope, the stakes were arguably much greater as the Empire was right on the droid's tail. They murdered Luke's family and set up the checkpoints all over the town, but Obi-Wan and Luke had no problem in hiring a smuggler on Tatooine to get them to Alderaan. Han was astonished when Obi-Wan offered him 17,000 Republic credits for smuggling 4 passengers out of the Imperial entanglements.
Let's just say we'd like to avoid any Imperial entanglements.
And it's going to cost you something extra. 10,000, all in advance.
10,000? We can pay you 2,000 now, plus 15 when we reach Alderaan.
17. 17,000. Those guys must really be desperate. This could really save my neck. Get back to the ship. Get her ready.
But in The Phantom Menace, apparently Watto easily refuses 20,000 credits for one hyperdrive.
I have 20,000 Republic Dactaries.
Republic credits? Republic credits are no good out here. I need something more real.
Even if we were to believe that Watto would reject that amount of credits, Luke said he could easily buy a ship with 10,000 credits.
10,000? We can almost buy our own ship for that.
So, why not do that? Just buy a new ship and fly away. Or go to the shops that accept credits and swap them for hard currency, and buy from Watto. Are you telling me that Tatooine, the place where Jabba the Hutt resides, renowned for a galactic spaceport, a trading center, hub planet in the Outer Rim, brimming with all people of every shady profession like pirates, gangsters, and smugglers from all over the galaxy, has no money changer? Kagan is an unorthodox Jedi maverick who is willing to use mind tricks to dupe Watto, and if he is willing to do un-Jedi things to do for a greater good, why not just steal the hyperdrive at night or dupe someone else to give him something worthy and sell it to Watto? No, instead Kagan has to stake everything on this boy he just met to have the biggest pod race in the Outer Rim, where all the eyes are drawn to them. And how about bringing Jar Jar, who actively draws attention everywhere he goes? Reminder that when Kagan decides to bet on the pod race, he did not know Anakin was the chosen one. He has not even tested his midichlorian, so it is doubly worse because as far as he is concerned, he made a bet on some 10-year-old kid who never finished a race to win it that no human has ever won. I get that the plot has to happen on Tatooine, but it comes across as egregious here. The previous film, set on the same planet, depicted a better way to handle a comparable, arguably more dire, predicament. However, the next film presents a less tense scenario where the characters act brainless to shoehorn in the pod racing sequence. While I can't fix the contrivance completely, having the characters actually debate about what to do and deciding against those options alleviates their action into something more natural. The twin sons beat down on the little group as they made their way into the city, but Padme hardly noticed. Everything is so different from the other worlds she visited: the dry air, the endless yellow sand, the lumpy buildings of the spaceport, and the heat is only one more difference to wonder at. Walking on the loose desert sand was tiring. Even in the city, most of the streets are unpaved, though at least the constant traffic on the busier streets had packed the surface down. As usual, it is crowded with beings of every size and shape. Boxes of brightly colored fruit are arranged on a rack tilted toward the street for viewing. The buildings have begun their casual decay, but Mos Espa is thriving in a way that Padme had never seen before. The two Jedi are still looking for the seller of the hyperdrive parts they needed for a J-Type 327 Nubian. As long as everyone thinks they are plain farmers, they're hardly in any more danger than they would be at the ship. And so far, nobody suspects. The market is crowded with natives, traders, tourists, and criminals alike. Streets are bored and packed with beings of every shape and size, most from off-planet. Some ride the desert-seasoned Eopes. Giant, tame, domesticated banthas, massive and horned, and lumbering Dubax haul carts, sleds, and wagons that run on wheels and mechanical tracks by turn, a mishmash of commerce trafficking between Tatooine's smaller ports and the planets of star systems beyond. Who would choose such a planet to live on? Padme got her answer when she reached Mos Espa: criminals and renegades. Strange creatures from all over the galaxy sat in the cafes lining the streets, gambling and shouting. The noise, combined with the heat, makes her feel dazed. The streets are narrow and crammed with braying banthas and various other life forms. None of which she has any inclination to get to know better, but today, she has no choice. They stopped in a small plaza. After looking around the market, Kagan Jinn has been arguing with a manager, a Rodian in charge of this section of the Mos Espa marketplace.
What do you mean there is none?
No Nubian part in this marketplace. Out of stock.
Is it out of stock, or is it because mighty Jabba the Hutt refuses to treat any product linked to Alderaan?
The manager scoffs. He hit the nail on the head. In the wake of the conflict over Alderaan, the Hutt clan seems to have banned the imports of the Nubian Design Collective or the other products ingrained in the Alderaanian government. The Hutt space is nominally part of the Republic, with influence in the Republic politics, but that doesn't mean they don't have to toe the line.
We are neutral. Outer Rim here. No Republic, no separatists.
But Tatooine is part of the Republic.
Not in the Republic's control. This is the Hutt planet.
The manager heads off. Padme's head aches. She's fed up.
My people are suffering, and we're stuck here wasting time learning the petty nuances of bureaucracy.
Inquiring about the Nubian part will send up red flags. Only bring it up with the individual shopkeepers.
As Kagan warns her, Padme passes by a large speeder wagon. If they are transporting goods, they would surely know. Padme asks the men on it for directions.
Excuse me. Do you know where?
But the drivers only sneer at Padme and wouldn't respond. There is a foul smell coming from the armored wagon. Upon seeing its cargo, Padme receives a shock. It is crowded and full of living beings, humans and non-humans huddled inside. What on earth could have caused this?
The slave dealers may pick you up to your destination. Go ask them.
The dealers unload their goods. The slaves are walking off into an auction house in a long line. They are all wearing the same metallic collars. There is even a girl as small as a 5-year-old among them. How can this be? Graxel Kelvian, an ANX male slave trader standing at the entrance, takes a notice of Padme. A large, reptilian of bipeds, his head is tall and blade-shaped, and he possesses stooped stature and long neck.
Miss Traveler, sir. I see you have an eye for quality.
Padme stares at them in shock, then she looks startled and skeptical. It is unthinkable for the Republic to be silent on the rampant slavery in the Outer Rim, and she wonders why the Jedi had not acted on it. As Padme takes a move, Kagan comes to her. She then realizes the armed guards in the market are protecting the trade, wearing the armbands, and overseeing the ongoing dealing. The Rodian manager walks over to the trader.
Mighty Jabba wishes to have the Twi'lek girls.
Yes, yes. We have 2 among the new arrivals. Come in, please.
The trader touches one of the female slaves with his lecherous hand to show him his new product. As the slaves look at the sight with disgust and anger, the Shistavanan slave boy pushes the guard out and breaks away from the line. He is making a run to escape.
No, no! I wanna see my mom!
The guards begin chasing with electric clubs.
I'm scared. Mom! I don't wanna go! Mom! Mom!
Padme covers her eyes and turns away. There are screams from the witnesses and especially from the slaves. Padme uncovers her face. The slave trader turns to the slaves in the line, who all lower their heads, becoming more obedient than ever. They realize there is no way out. Padme realizes the entire world is embedded with slavery. The Hutt clan is not only complicit but oversees the repugnant business. The slave trader turns to Padme for a moment.
Miss, have you decided?
Kagan steps in instead.
Later.
The trader gets into the building, guiding the Rodian manager. No one is in no way embarrassed about it, thinking of it only as a fact of life.
The goods for barter in the city are.
Despite how technologically advanced the core worlds is, most of the galaxy is barbaric, and the social status of a lot of its people is part of that. It is staggering how many people have a backward standard of morality and stuck in their own era. Kagan closes his eyes and nods.
It's not an uncommon sight. When you travel the galaxy, you will realize there is a certain level of evil that is accepted by society. Not tolerated, accepted as a fact of life.
And you do nothing?
The galaxy is a big place, and the Senate says it is out of our jurisdiction.
How can Tatooine be part of the Republic if its rules don't apply?
Because the same law is applied like a hand slap for the strong and a hammer for the weak, an opportunity for the powerful and a shackle for the downtrodden.
Living within her own mansion on Alderaan for most of her life, she had no idea about the off-world reality. At most, she thought the majority of citizens in the Republic would be on par with the Alderaanian living standard. If she could only set them free, Padme torments herself, but if she intervenes, their journey would be over. Obi-Wan wades through the crowds to reach the 2. He asks his master.
How's your search, master?
Kagan shakes his head.
Yours?
Some shoppers said the junk shops down there might be selling what we need.
They are sure whatever is in the junk shop will be garbage, but in this situation, the garbage will do.
They better have it. I'm about to storm out of this place and throw up.
We're short on time. Obi-Wan, continue searching the other parts of this market. We'll be looking into those junk shops before the sun's set.
Yes, master.
They travel the main street of the spaceport to its far end. They turn down a side street that leads to a small plaza ring with salvage dealers and junk shops. Kagan glances at the mounds of engine parts, control panels, and communication chips recovered from starships and speeders in the yards. A group of shabby junk dealers huddle around them. A few of the larger shops make an attempt to be presentable. At least they look as though they wouldn't take their life in their hands by walking through the door. It looks unpromising to Kagan, but Padme takes a brief look around and finds something through a fence. Beyond the chain barrier, there are piles of worn-looking equipment beneath a stack of spaceship parts towering behind it.
J-Type 327 Nubian. That's the part we need.
That mound belongs to a smaller, more disreputable-looking shop. They walk through the shop's low entry. There is another customer already present, looking at the items on the shelves. Kagan and Padme are greeted by a pudgy blue creature who flies into their faces like a crazed probe, tiny wings buzzing so fast they can barely be seen.
Ai chubadanago.
It snaps in a frizzy, guttural voice, demanding to know their business. He is only about half as tall as Kagan, but he hovers so that his face is at the same level as the Jedi's.
I believe you have parts for a J-Type 327 Nubian.
Ah, yes. Nubian. We have lots of that.
The other customer turns his large head slightly. The Bith pretends to be fixated on looking the listings, but his eyes occasionally glance in the direction of Kagan and Watto. Watto's reticular snout curling over his toothy mouth and making odd smacking noises.
Can you pay me or not? That is the question.
That, you don't have to be worried about.
Still hanging midair in front of Qui-Gon's nose, the Toydarian glances over one shoulder.
Pidankel. Nabadeunko.
A disheveled Anakin races in from the salvage yard, coming to an uncertain stop in front of them. His clothes are ragged and thick with grime, and he has the look of someone about to be given a beating. He flinches as the Toydarian wheeled back and lifts a hand in admonishment.
What took you so long?
Meltas Chopaki.
Anakin responds quickly, blue eyes taking in the newcomers with a quick glance. The boy is dressed in rough garments. He looks as though he can use a bath, but his piercing dark eyes beam a fierce curiosity, giving him a look of intelligence.
I was fixing my pod racer for the next race.
Chat.
The Toydarian throws up his hands angrily.
Your pod racer.
Anakin lowers his head.
Your pod racer, sir.
Never mind the pod. Watch the store. Eve got some selling too though.
He flits back around to face his customers.
So, let me take you out back. You will soon find what you need.
He darts toward the salvage yard, beckoning Kagan. The Jedi trails him. The Bith customer's gaze also follows him. Anakin seats himself on the counter and begins to polish a transmitter cell. As he works, he stares at her. She is around his age, small and slender with long, braided brown hair, brown eyes, and a face he finds so beautiful that he has nothing to which he could compare it. She is dressed in rough peasant's clothing, but she seems very self-possessed. His gaze makes her uncomfortable. She catches herself wondering whether she has a smudge on her nose or a leaf stuck in her hair. This is ridiculous, she thinks. Forcing a smile, she turns away. She is sweating and she dabs her forehead with a cloth. Anakin has a feeling she isn't used to the kind of heat he lives with on Tatooine. With her mind focused, Padme surveys the surroundings with a mix of curiosity and relief. Adobe walls, whitewashed and scrubbed, glimmer softly in a mix of storm-clouded sunlight admitted through small, arched windows and a diffuse electric glow from ceiling fixtures. She finds herself in a dusty, cluttered shop. Scrap metal, circuits, speeder parts, droid parts, control panels, compressors, and tools were crammed on every shelf and spilled onto the floor. She glances at the mounds of engine parts and communication chips recovered from starships and speeders. Bored of waiting, Padme moves to a shelf and bends over an odd-looking little droid body with a bulbous nose. She is intrigued by its shape, wondering what it is. Reaching up curiously, she pushes at the nose with one finger.
Don't touch anything!
He calls over his shoulder, his tone of voice sharp, but it is too late. Instantly armatures pop out from every direction, metal limbs swinging into place. The droid's motors whiz and whir, and it jerks to life and begins moving forward. She has accidentally started up an odd little repair droid. She goes after it with a moan of dismay, grabbing on in an effort to slow it down, but the droid continues marching through the shop, knocking over everything it came in contact with.
Hit the nose!
Padme does as she was told, pounding the droid's nose wildly. The droid stops at once, the arms and legs retract, the motors shut down, and the droid goes still. Padme sighs in relief, then Anakin has to laugh, and his laughter increased as he sees the look on the unfortunate girl's face. Padme puts the droid down fast. She reaches up to touch her hair self-consciously, a small move Anakin studies. As if tired of watching the foolish sight, the Bith customer heads to the shop's doorway. Anakin leaves the counter.
Sir! We're sorry for the trouble!
Anakin grabs the control panel the Bith was inspecting and tries to catch the losing customer.
Watto will come back soon! Please wait!
He ignores Anakin's pleads and ducks out of the shop without saying a word, leaving only Anakin and Padme alone. Anakin tosses the panel to the floor and stares at Padme.
You cost me a customer.
Sorry. I can repay you.
The boy waves his hand as he returns to the counter.
My master better not remember him.
Master?
She then notices something on his neck. He is wearing the same metallic collar she saw the slaves were wearing. She blurts out the question.
You're a slave?
The boy's head comes up. The way she says it makes Anakin feel ashamed and angry. He glares at her.
I'm a person and my name is Anakin.
She looks shocked. She averts her gaze from his collar now, curiosity turning to embarrassment.
I'm sorry.
Anakin continues cleaning a metal object. He didn't notice anything unusual because she is dressed in rough peasant clothes, but on second glance up close he notices that something isn't quite right about her.
I serve my master Watto in his shop. Very boring. Wouldn't have lasted long if I weren't so good at fixing things. What about you?
I serve the Republic and I'm running a special mission on Tatooine.
His hard look follows her, for a split second uncertain. Then Padme begins to laugh. Relieved, Anakin laughs, too.
I'm just a simple bulk ship hauler. Very boring.
Anakin keeps staring at her. There is a long moment of silence as the two stare at each other. Sharp eyes measure her for things he would just as soon not think about. Such stares are at best challenging and at worst unfriendly.
No, you are not. You came here to hide.
Padme turns pale. She forces herself to smile.
You're a funny boy. Why do you say that?
Nubian Design Collective never manufactured a bulk ship.
Padme is too astonished to make up a convincing lie.
Our ship was modified into one.
Nubian ships are not customizable. If they were, you wouldn't be specifically looking for Nubian parts.
He comes closer to her and puts his hand under his chin. His blue eyes fix on her face.
Let me guess, you killed someone, right?
No.
Wanted smuggler? Con artist? Separatist?
No!
His last guess angers her more than the others. He seems to be toying with her. She may have been wearing coarse clothes, but there is something delicate about her. Her long, braided brown hair shimmers. There is a glint in her brown eyes and her skin is too perfect for a criminal.
Maybe not. You don't look tough be any of them, but that's okay. All sorts of people come through this world. Anyone but an angel.
Padme looks frustrated. She heads out to where Kagan has gone. R2-D2 has been sneaking a look at the conversation all this time and comes to the counter. Anakin leans to his droid, with his gaze still locked at her with a piqued interest.
Who do you think they are?
She is dressed in rough peasant's clothing, but clearly there is something more to her. In the yard, Watto is studying the screen of a portable memory bank he holds in one hand, tracing through his inventory record. Kagan, arms folded, follows him through.
Là, here it is. A T14 hyperdrive generator.
The junk dealer cries, hovering in front of a pile of dusty parts. He jabs at one of the machineries with his cane.
You're in luck. I'm the only one hereabouts VS1. Saying of which, are you going to pay for all this?
Finding the parts so quickly means that they could install the new hyperdrive and get off planet long before it's too late.
I have 300 Republic batteries to put toward.
Republic credits? 300 Republic credits are no good out here. I need something more real.
There has to be a hitch, Kagan thinks.
We don't have anything else.
He raises his hand, passing casually in front of the Toydarian's face. Waving his hand in the mind-altering gesture all Jedi learned, he nudges the alien's mind.
But credits will do fine.
Watto growls, wriggling his nose.
No, they won't.
Kagan frowns, then passes his hand again, bringing the full force of her Jedi suggestive power to bear. He repeats the gesture and nudges harder.
Credits will do fine.
Watto refuses to concede anything to his condition.
No, they won't. What you think you're some kinda Jedi, waving your hand around like that? I'm a Toydarian. Mind tricks don't work on me, only money.
He rubs two clawed fingers together in the universal gesture for cash.
No money, no parts, no deal. And no one else is at the 14 hyperdrive. Ask anyone, and they will say the same.
Cursing in Huttese, Watto leaves a depressed Kagan alone in the junkyard. An anxious Padme walks into the yard.
Does he sell the part we need?
And the Toydarian is charging a fortune for it. Are you sure there isn't anything of value left on board?
A few containers of supplies, the Queen's wardrobe, some jewelry maybe. Not enough for you to barter with. Not in the amounts you're talking about.
They never kept anything of real value on the transport. The crew would load what they needed for travel, but of course they didn't have time to think of such things when they left Alderaan.
We're leaving.
Anakin overhears Padme and Kagan, who are moving toward the shop's entry. They might be leaving the shop, but that doesn't mean they will be gone for good.
We have nothing of value. That's our problem.
Another thing I should have seen coming. Another preparation I didn't make.
Don't blame yourself. The shopkeeper must be lying. Obi-Wan will find other shops selling the same thing.
He's telling the truth.
Anakin follows them. He knows he doesn't want them to go away now.
Dealers keep track of one another, and if anyone else has a hyperdrive to sell, my master might not have been so stubborn about the credits.
Kagan nods. He must have seen the truth in his eyes.
Thank you.
Just one thing before you go.
Padme tenses up. Has he figured out who she is? Perhaps the stout blue creature has told him to watch out for shoplifting. Anakin hands the customers snacks.
You forgot to take complimentary candies.
They are pally candies that can usually be found in huge bags in markets. Padme hesitates, a reluctance evident in her gaze.
It's a custom of this world, I think.
As Kagan gives a warm smile and takes one, Anakin's other hand goes for his satchel out of his sight. Padme follows him and takes another.
Well then. I'm glad I met you.
When they are out of the shop, Watto flies in from the salvage yard, shaking his head in disgust.
Outlanders. They think because we live so far from everything, we know nothing.
Anakin is still staring longingly after them, his gaze fixed on the empty doorway. He then heads out, passing by his beeping droid. Kagan leads Padme back through the little plaza of salvage shops toward the hot, sun-blasted main avenue. The Bith customer who was present in Watto's shop earlier hides behind a pillar of a structure, glancing at them. He is talking with someone through a comlink.
Tagua, bosko bedwana do parche chedo nubian fasto.
There are so many combinations of creatures of every species, their feet stirring sand and dust in thick clouds. Padme can't tell what Kagan is thinking. He scans the groups of gamblers and arguing pilots.
What are you looking for now?
Kagan gives a terse response.
Away.
There should be money changers around here.
They are operated by the Hutts or worse gangsters. If they convert those credits with no questions asked, the exchange will be worthless.
How about buying a used ship?
We only have less than a tenth of credits to buy one. That's not even enough to hire a smuggler.
With 300 credits, they will not find a trustworthy smuggler, let alone a competent one.
How about selling our Nubian transport to buy a new ship?
And instantly out yourself as the Alderaanian royalty? We already took a gamble when we asked for a Nubian part.
That transport is so shiny and luxurious that it is immediately recognizable as the Alderaanian royal luxury yacht. 2 Jedi can't protect her from an entire planet's worth of criminals coming for her. Staying low is their only choice. Padme prowls the space as if trapped, eyes fixed nervously on the busy street.
We should go back to the ship. Prince Organa should be waiting.
At the place where 2 buildings divided to form a shadowed niche, the Jedi Master's hand goes for his comlink to contact his apprentice. Kagan touches his waist, and there is nothing.
My pouch is gone.
Padme takes notice of his belt, too. Someone snatched him. Alarmed, Qui-Gon's eyes dart left and right, head swiveling. Nothing but walls of crowds, expecting the pickpocket would come into his view. Instead, Padme pulls out the complimentary candy the boy gave. She realizes exactly who stole the sack.
That condescending brat.
Kagan understands what she meant fast. The Bith customer sees the 2 are racing back to where they came from.
Te kona batata do shop. Alert shasalikle.
Nelith and Padme dash into the shop.
Excuse me.
You again.
Watto is seething and annoyed. She puts her hands on the counter.
We're sorry, but the boy just stole.
Kagan interrupts her fast. No one else should know the importance of what the boy just stole.
We'd like to ask him about pod racers. Could you tell us where he's gone?
His instincts fire up as Anakin runs into the garage of Watto's junk shop. He knows he would get scolded or beaten if he got caught, but he would wind down shortly. Anakin opens the door to the shed, which is used as a storage room. Anakin crawls into a small space beneath a messy pile of heavy junks, revealing a secret wooden hatch on the floor. He opens it and crawls into the underground passage like a prisoner escaping a cell. He shuts the cover, closing the last of the day's light. Crawling through a tunnel Anakin dug years ago, he encounters a rusted ladder. He climbs it down to the end. With a splash of filthy water, he is in one large pipe size of his height. Anakin runs, splashing, and stops at the edge of the pipe that overlooks the large lower-level control hub of the sewer. The safe place only a very few know about. 1,000 footsteps of the crowd walking on the market of Mos Espa above echo in the sewer like a continuous minuscule earthquake. He takes out the satchel he just stole and searches it, hoping to find more than pennies. Anakin expects to find peggets. If not, a power converter, or anything that can be exchanged for a pod racer part in the market. He touches a steel rod inside. He takes it out, revealing it to be a lightsaber. Thinking it will be only a toy, he presses the switch and ignites a blue beam of light that brightens the sewer. The boy's eyes go wide. A laser sword. He raises the weapon skyward. As Anakin is in awe viewing the green beam, he realizes he must not want people to know, or he'd wear it where everyone could see. But it is too late. The lightsaber turns off, forcibly slips out from his hands, and flies across the air. Toward the hand of Qui-Gon Jinn, grabbing the lightsaber. Anakin stutters. He has to struggle to keep his voice normal.
You're a Jedi Knight, aren't you? I thought the Jedi were just a myth.
He approaches a frozen Anakin and snatches the satchel out of his hand.
Slimy thief, come over here. You're going to be in deep trouble.
He puts the lightsaber into the bag. Anakin listens to his words and contemplates something. Tatooine is the last place in the galaxy he'd expect to find a Jedi. It is a hot, dusty planet, and people don't follow the laws of the Galactic Republic here. Tatooine is run by the Hutts, who are known throughout the universe as gangsters and cold-blooded killers. The planet is populated by misfits and criminals who have nowhere left to go. He has an idea. His expressions change.
What trouble? Like turning me over to my master?
Qui-Gon raises his eyebrow.
Maybe you're from a core system, so all this might be new to you, but you got a new problem to worry about.
A new problem?
Qui-Gon is at a loss for words at the gall of this kid, only let himself laugh without a smile.
My master Watto doesn't like the Republic very much.
He takes steps toward him.
And I now know who you are. I'm sure the Hutts would be interested in your presence here, and anything the Hutts have an interest in results in bloodshed.
There is a barest flicker of uncertainty showing in his eyes. He knows the boy is right about one thing. If the Hutts or any other gang figured out who they were and why they were here, they would be held to ransom or worse. We glide into Qui-Gon's expression as if an evil spirit is catching him off guard. Silence breaks as Qui-Gon senses something. That sixth sense, feeling through the Force, alerts him to danger. A whisper of warning. Qui-Gon ducks.
Get down!
Huh?
Qui-Gon stares at the lower level outside the pipe they are in, two tunnels connected with a steel bridge, its trestles seeped in the filthy water. The ominous footsteps start echoing the place. People are coming. Anakin and Qui-Gon cower at the edge of the pipe, peeking. A hooded figure begins to materialize out of the tunnel, cloaked in shadow, silhouetted against the light from the tunnel. He is far away but close enough to decipher him. Then footsteps come from the other side, and three people walk out of the tunnel at the right end of the bridge. Anakin whispers.
Did Jabba already find you out?
Looking at the armbands, these men are from the same group that protected the slave dealers. They meet in the middle of the bridge. The man in the hood takes out a bag of peggets. A deep, sinister voice reverberates from the man in the hood.
This is 1/3 of the full payment. Bring the girl to me and destroy the rest. Leave no witnesses.
Qui-Gon Jinn closes his eyes, suffocated by the unbreathable presence of the dark side. He feels the movement of the dark side as a wave that begins as a ripple and gathers momentum until it towers and crashes against his body, sucking the oxygen from his lungs. He was right. That creature is not some separatist goon or mercenary. Some great evil is working here. Something stronger than he'd imagined. He is sure of it. Are the stakes higher than even he has feared? Anakin glances at Qui-Gon. Worry and anguish fill him, feeling trapped and paralyzed. After one of the bounty hunters takes the bag, they begin to leave, each heading to the opposite tunnel. Anakin tries to move, but his hand accidentally trips a small pebble off the edge of the pipe. It drops and splashes against the sewer water below. Although it is a minuscule sound, it echoes throughout the facility. Maul's hand goes to his belt. As he does, his robes shift, and Qui-Gon glimpses something amazing. Under those clothes is a lightsaber, stuck in his belt about his waist. Maul touches the hilt of his lightsaber. His enemy is near. A burning begins in his chest and spreads outward. He draws in the power of the dark side, and then focuses. He turns his head in the direction of the upper pipe, where the men and the boy hide. Qui-Gon puts his finger on his lips, gesturing to shush Anakin. Maul stands there, staring, for a moment. Maul closes his eyes and focuses on the darkness within, settling himself into meditation. When he reaches out to gather the dark side of the force around him, it is unsettled and turbulent. He knows his enemy is near, and right now he can feel the disturbance in the dark side. It could be a Jedi or a spy sent by the Jedi. It could be an innocent observer. Then he feels a power of good nearby, a concentration of the force. Qui-Gon and Anakin shrink. Their clothes soak in the dirty sewer water. Maul then heads off, walking away. The anticipation he feels is like a ravenous hunger. His anger and pleasure mix and rise to a furious pitch. Qui-Gon sighs, gaining what small relief he can. What stupidity, Maul thinks. This will be too easy. As Maul walks off, he takes out a small comlink and makes a call.
The targets are here. In the pipe upper level.
Bounty hunters pull their weapons out. They talk among themselves, waving their arms. They trudge off, looking for prey. Maul wishes the bounty hunters would fail to kill the Jedi. They have no discipline, only greed. Maul will be called into service. All his life he's waited for this. But wishing for the failure of the bounty hunters means that he is wishing that an order from his master will fail. He doesn't like this contradiction. It borders on disloyal. But he can't help feeling it. The Jedi are his. He wants his master to see that he is a worthy apprentice. He's thought he'd been tested before, but this is his first true test. The ultimate test. In any case, his presence here must remain secret until his master orders him otherwise. Then he shall meet his enemy. Footnote. Redone makes the first lightsaber ignition a significant moment for the story and the character, as it would for the audience, and yes, it is a homage to the original Star Wars poster. I added a small scene in which Padme finds out about the ongoing slavery in the market, considering how slavery plays a huge part in the stories of the future redones. Qui-Gon not freeing the other slaves in the Phantom Menace was controversial, and people came up with justifications, good or bad, but the official excuse Lucasfilm came up with was worse than anything the fans came up with. I wanted to tie this into the symptom of the systemic problem of the Jedi Order as an institution, in a way that later affects how Anakin and Padme view the Jedi and the Senate throughout the trilogy. Redone lowers the amount of Republic credits Qui-Gon has from 20,000 to 300. For the reasons I talked about before, 20,000 credits are more than enough to buy 2 ships and hire a smuggler on Tatooine. I know this because George Lucas told me in A New Hope.
17,000. Those guys must really be desperate. This could really save my neck. Get back to the ship. Get her ready.
By having them broke, it truly corners them to the edge where they cannot barter for anything. The suns are setting. In an ecstasy of relief, Qui-Gon barges out of the storage shed. Dripping with dirty water, he takes a deep, welcome breath. Padme races down to them.
Qui-Gon, did you find your weapon?
Qui-Gon shows his satchel.
I need to talk to Obi-Wan.
Anakin walks out of the shed. He just heard Padme calling his name.
So your name is Qui-Gon?
You.
So you're a Jedi, too? I guess angels do come through tattooing after all.
Padme's cheeks go red. Despite her clothing, he thinks she is beautiful. She has to admit she is pleased by the compliment of this funny boy. Kagan turns to the boy.
Now that you know my name, it's only fair that you tell me yours, too.
I'm Anakin.
Anakin who?
Who knows? Slaves have no family names.
By Qui-Gon's look, Anakin figures he feels sorry for him. He pulls credits out of the satchel.
All right, Anakin. Here's 10 credits. I won't tell this to your master and you do the same. Now, be off with you.
Kagan is already moving, shifting into a steady trot through the alley. Padme is only a step behind, and it takes a moment for Anakin to catch up to them, his long legs working frantically. Now it is his turn to give them a funny look. What would Jedi Knights be doing here on Tatooine?
Hey, hold on. Let me stay with you for a moment. I want to know more about what's going on.
Kagan ignores him and continues walking off. None of these places would be safe from the bounty hunters. The heat of the twin suns is hard on him.
Let's go, before more of them show up.
More of what?
Whoever attacked us. He's not some separatist goon or mercenary.
Anakin interrupts their conversation as he trails them into an alleyway, bombarding them with questions.
Why are you Jedi here? Is it true you fight with a laser sword?
Lightsaber.
Can you use the Force? Why is that man wanting to kill you?
We have no time for this now.
Hey, Lady Knight.
Why are you calling me a Jedi?
Because he is?
Anakin points to Kagan.
Perhaps I killed a Jedi and stole the lightsaber from him.
Padme's expressions become playful. She steps toward the boy as she adds with more than a little glee, in an attempt to one-up to him like he did to her at the shop.
We did. When we found the Jedi, we crushed them into dust, grinded them into little pieces, and then blasted them into oblivion.
She didn't scare him. Anakin responds with a straight face.
I don't think so. No one can kill a Jedi.
Kagan smiles a bit. He gives him a look that would come back to haunt Anakin.
I wish that were so.
Meanwhile, the wind picks up and begins to whip at the clothes. All around, shopkeepers are taking down their awnings and putting up shutters, carrying goods and wares inside, and wrapping coverings over displays and boxes.
Storm's coming on tonight. No racing tomorrow. Get home. Don't go outside.
It is an end of the day for the crowds, but a beginning of the night for the bounty hunters, yet one of the many reasons why Tatooine is a world of crime and vice. As people leave the marketplace, a herd of professionals are sneaking into the gangway where their targets are. At the prospect of an escape, Anakin becomes polite and offers any help he can. Anakin pitches himself.
Look, you saw me back there. I'm capable. I can run, jump over rooftops, pilot ships. You gotta take me as a Jedi.
Kagan glances at Anakin. He has to admit he is pleased by the persistence of this funny boy. Kagan begins to feel sympathetic as well, something he can relate to as someone who was taken into the order when he was an infant. He can't blame him for wanting to leave the heat and the dryness, but eyeing his ragged clothes, he wonders whether he has any real chance of achieving his dream. Kagan gives him a warm expression.
You'd better get home quickly, for your safety. I don't want to see you get caught up in our fight.
I can even fight. You want me to show?
Anakin throws himself to Kagan and tries to take his lightsaber, and in the process, he activates the weapon. Padme nearly screams. She steps away. But Kagan swiftly grabs his hand and turns it off. He gives him a severe look.
Oops.
Are you brainless? You almost got us killed.
That comment angers Anakin. She has no right to be insulting, just because she is with a Jedi.
Brainless? I can speak 4 languages, fly a ship, fix vehicles. I am a Bunda Eve pod racer.
Knowing many things does not make you intelligent.
Kagan halts. He turns his gaze to him to make sure if he heard what he just said.
You're a Bunda Eve pod racer?
Of course.
He says as if it was the most obvious thing in the world. Pod racing is a popular sport in the less developed regions of the galaxy and was one of the most dangerous sports ever invented. Its underground nature, great excitement, and almost gladiatorial propensity for carnage held immense appeal to all manner of folk living on the fringes of society.
That's a good one, young man.
He pulls out his Republic credits again.
Here's 5 more credits. Thank you for the laugh.
I'm not lying. I'm the only human around here who can pilot a pod racer.
Kagan shakes his head, reacting to the boy's attempt to impress him with the obvious lie. He is too young to know all those things.
You must have Jedi reflexes if you race one of them.
Anakin feels a chill. Jedi reflexes. He knows he is fast, but here is a real, live Jedi hinting that he might be one of his kind. Kagan is about to tease him, to ask if he piloted a speeder when he was a baby, but Anakin pulls out his Bunta Eve Classic membership badge.
Here! See? This is this year's membership badge. I have the ones from the previous years in my hovel.
Qui-Gon's face goes stiff. He's serious. Padme cannot help smiling at his enthusiasm, though she wonders just what a pod racer is.
What's pod race? It sounds a little advanced.
More like barbaric. They have pod racing on Malastare. Very fast, very dangerous.
Anakin's eyes shine.
People come here because Bunta Eve is the most dangerous race of all.
The Bunta Eve Classic is a vicious, free-for-all competition, and more than one racer becomes victim to the high-speed turns, rocky obstacles, and dirty tricks of their dastardly adversaries. Kagan gives a look that is half startled, half wary. He can't believe this boy, a human boy, doesn't feel the pressure.
I imagine a crash or dismemberment would only make the crowd roar with delight and call for more.
Anakin indulges with pride.
That's why it always gets a crowd. Everything here revolves around betting on these races. The last race begins in 2 days, but Watto won't let me do it anymore.
Kagan has retracted himself into his mind, and midst of the darkness, a light bulb gleams. A shadowy figure of the bounty hunter moves up to the rooftop of a house, on which he can see a full view of the alleyway 30 meters away. Ducking, the figure leans against the wall and takes out a blaster rifle, readying for the targets to move to the right position as they talk to each other.
Another solution seems to have presented itself.
What are you thinking?
The prize money would pay for the parts they need, and more. There is no other way to get that amount of money. He ponders.
Gambling. Greed can be a powerful ally, if it's used properly.
Padme is about to say something, but Anakin's expressions fade quickly as he feels something. A feeling. He turns to Kagan.
Watch out!
Anakin pushes Kagan away. The gunman fires and the blaster bolt misses the Jedi just in a fraction of a second. Padme ducks. Scanning to see where the blaster fire came from, she notices the figure of the gunman out of focus on the rooftop of the building. He is aiming at them. Fallen to the ground, Kagan springs to his feet, lightsaber in hand. The gunman begins firing on the Jedi, whose weapon deflects his shot. Padme pulls out the blaster pistol and fires. The gunman falls off the rooftop. Kagan looks at Anakin, his eyes widen.
How did you know?
Just an instinct.
An instinct. He just knew, sensing it. Kagan is struck by Anakin's clear mind. No time to think about it. Almost at once, Kagan feels a rush of threat from the constricted alleyway. The grunts from several bounty hunters converge on them. The Jedi, Padme, and the boy back down and turn to find another batch of the enemy spilling into the alleyway from the other end. Some hold the blasters in their hands, the others hold the clubs. The bounty hunters have maneuvered the targets to the middle of the alleyway with no path to escape. They think they have trapped them. They plan to take their time slicing the targets to ribbons, minus the girl. Kagan steps forward, his lightsaber intense. The hunters begin to surround the targets. There are just too many of them. Kagan can take out 4 or 5 in the flicker of an eyelash, but that will just infuriate the rest. Kagan glances at Padme.
You've got to get out of here. Contact Obi-Wan. I will keep them busy while you do it.
Your apprentice might already be dead.
I have seen many Padawans, and none was as capable as Obi-Wan.
As the targets focus on the groups of bounty hunters at both ends of the gangways, a gay Marine bounty hunter wielding a club climbs over the right wall from the other side, an unsuspecting Anakin right below him. He raises his club and readies to jump down, positioning the weapon underneath him to smash Anakin's skull with the force of gravity.
Ready?
With her eyes fixed on the gathering bounty hunters, Padme raises her blaster.
What about the boy?
Kagan turns to the boy and finds that Anakin has fallen to the ground. Staring up at the gay Marine, his legs are loosened, and his body is frozen like a statue as fear overcomes, immobilized. Kagan force pushes Anakin out of the way just in time before the gay marine falls onto him. The club smashes the wall, leaving a crack. Anakin slides across the ground. Padme fires at the gay marine before he swings another hit at the boy. Anakin recovers his senses. He is marveled at the Force magic, but there is no time to appreciate it. As if that attack was the signal, the bounty hunters begin charging toward their targets, howling and growling.
Ron, get out of here!
Anakin runs straight for the wall. He doesn't have much distance to cover, so he has to run fast. He runs up and scales the sheer wall. With a final burst of strength, he climbs it up. From the top of the wall, Anakin extends her hand toward Padme on the ground.
Grab my hand!
This ordeal is viewed from a far distance through the electrobinoculars scopes. On the roof of one of the houses, Maul is spying on them. Maul focuses on the two in the alleyway, one Jedi, fending off the bounty hunters, and the other holding the boy's hand and climbing up the wall. He identifies the latter as Queen Breha Antilles in a second. She is wearing plain clothes, but they can't fool Maul. She has the same face. Maul grins. Then he senses an itch in the back of his head. He lowers the scopes to fix on her legs. She is not stumbling or staggering while climbing the wall. Her right leg is functioning perfectly fine. His eyes widen with sudden realization. He climbs down from the rooftop and pushes a button on her wrist controller, which is linked to his ship's subspace radio. A hologram of Darth Sidious pops out.
Master Sidious, the queen I've cornered on Tatooine is fake.
Fake?
A decoy. The real one is still on Alderaan.
Maul feels a bitter taste of rage. That girl and the Jedi have made him waste his time with a measly trick. His master doesn't seem to share the same feelings. Instead, he is amused.
Well, the Jedi can also be cowards after all. I will notify the Separatists.
Anakin and Padme are running on the rooftops now. It looks easy for Anakin, but not for Padme.
Look out for the gaps!
Padme forces himself to catch up to Anakin. All of these calculations race through her mind, faster than the bounty hunters are moving, jumping over the gaps between the housings, and grabbing the ledges. The same blocky, sand-colored buildings, along the same packed sand streets are so familiar to Anakin that he could have run to Watto's shop blindfolded. He encounters a rather large gap, but Anakin does not hesitate. He leaps from the roof across a narrow street to another roof. Padme looks terrified. She would have to jump 7 meters in the air. Anakin urges her to take a leap from the other side.
Come on! Jump!
Padme takes cover on the roof as blasts hit near her. The bounty hunters are trailing them, trying to close the gap. They look as skilled as Anakin when it comes to traversing rooftops. Padme returns fire and hits one of the hunters chasing them, forcing them to take cover.
Hurry! I'll grab you! Just jump!
Padme looks at Anakin's encouraging hand. She holsters her weapon. She prepares and, with her extra strength and speed, makes a leap. Padme manages to catch his hand and grabs Anakin's arm to climb. The bounty hunter arrives where Padme jumped from and takes aim. Padme, still hanging, draws the blaster pistol with her right hand and shoots. The bounty hunter pulls the trigger as he gets shot, and his blaster bolt hits the ledge of the rooftop inches away from Anakin and Padme. The ledge collapses and the blaster bursts. Padme slips from Anakin's grasp, and much to her horror, she falls to the ground. She crashes into a vendor's cart wrapped with a covering, in which fruits function as the mattress to soften her fall. She is covered in sticky juice. Anakin shouts at her from the roof.
You okay?
More blaster bolts. Anakin takes cover, and Padme rushes out of the cart.
Don't worry about me. Find your way out.
As she ducks, Padme pulls out the comlink.
Obi-Wan, do you hear me?
One fierce bounty hunter is the first to come at Anakin on the roof, racing forward with his club held high. It is easy for Anakin to fake a dodge to the left, then make a half turn and kick him from behind as he staggers, surprised that there is now empty air where he had been standing. The bounty hunter falls from the roof and hits the ground in a spray of sand just next to Padme. He's still alive and groans, face down, his shaking hand reaching for the club. Padme simply shoots him. This gratifies Anakin, but it does not please the chasers. Anakin heads out, continuing his run on the rooftops. One Trandashans is tailing him with equal speed and determination, trying to close the gap. Anakin runs for his life. He is no match for Anakin. The Trandashan chases him, shaking his weapon, but he cannot catch him. With the Trandashan in the chase, Anakin scans the rooftops around him to jump to, but there is no reachable roof in the vicinity. From the rooftop, Anakin looks down to find a domesticated bantha on the ground, a common Tatooine livestock. This large, hairy mammal with sharp, spiraling horns seems like a good way to throw his pursuer off the scent. Taking a deep breath, Anakin drops onto the animal's back, expecting to ride her like a horse. The bantha is shaking its head to try to throw Anakin off with every ounce of strength. He almost makes it, but then the lumbering creature bucks and Anakin flies away, tumbling to the ground. Parts of his clothes get shredded, and he sustains a deep cut in his left arm. Anakin sees the bantha moving away, then he gives the injury in his arm a cursory glance. The Trandoshan drops to the ground, his weapon flashing. As the bounty hunter approaches Anakin, an angry owner of the bantha bursts out of the house door.
Darn, chef-sucking thief! Get out of here!
The Trandoshan assassin turns his head and hisses at the owner. The owner understands this is none of his business. Not wasting a precious second, he goes back into his house and slams the door. Looking up at the Trandoshan, Anakin loses all semblance of courage and strength. He cannot get to his feet. He scrambles back in pain along the ground like a crab. He ponders. Anakin has just seen the Jedi pushing him away with magic. He had heard the power of the Jedi through stories and rumors, but this was the first-hand experience. Anakin is far from understanding it, but he feels a resurgence of strength, a feeling of confidence that urges him despite his apparently hopeless situation. Gaining confidence, patently unconcerned, Anakin raises his arm and extends it toward the Trandoshan, his hand gesture emulating how Kagan used the Force on him. But it doesn't come out, just like thousands of times before. The Trandoshan eyes him confused and does not look in the least intimidated. Anakin's confidence wavers. He knows that magic would require more than just struggling to reach. He makes a fist with as much authority as he can muster. Nothing. He points to him with his index finger. Nothing. He tries many different gestures, but it is not working. The Trandoshan lunges forward to him. Heart pounding, Anakin watches him approaching, trying hard with the gestures. The Trandoshan raises the heavy axe. Anakin covers his face with his left arm and squirms his whole body. Everything slows down. Unbeknownst to Anakin, grains of sand, pebbles, and dirt around him float into the air by an inch. Anakin extends his other arm to protect his face against the blow that would be the end of him. His last feelings of hope are almost gone when he senses the presence. All of a sudden, the Trandoshan's arms are severed by the blue blade of light from behind. The two arms fall with the axe still in the hands. It is Obi-Wan, now pointing his lightsaber at the bounty hunter. Now unarmed, literally, the bounty hunter's sulphurous eyes blink at his humming light shaft. He looks terrified, just like Anakin's. Kagan arrives at the scene at the hasted pace. Padme has caught up to him and stands beside him, her blaster raised. Just as Obi-Wan is about to strike a finishing blow at the Trandoshan, Kagan ignites his lightsaber to block his weapon. There is no need for further violence. The Trandoshan staggers back, staring at the fallen arms. And now he is afraid of the Jedi. The Trandoshan bounty hunter screams like a scared animal and runs off after picking his cut arm. The pebbles around Anakin fall to the ground, unnoticed by both the Jedi and Anakin himself. The hum of Obi-Wan's weapon dies out. In the quiet, Anakin hears a faint hissing. Kagan pulls Anakin's arm to help him stand. The boy is shaken up. That must be upsetting for him.
I'm sorry. You shouldn't have to experience something like that.
I've seen worse. Far worse.
He has seen unspeakable things in the streets of Mos Espa since he was an infant. Living on Tatooine is taxing. It does not matter if you do everything perfectly. You can die for looking at someone wrong or walking near a random slave when his collar explodes. All the same. Obi-Wan turns his gaze toward Anakin and gives him a "who are you" look.
Oh, he's someone you might be interested in.
You caught the thief.
No. I mean, he is the thief, but...
Kagan draws their attention back to his apprentice.
Anakin, meet Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Anakin shakes his hand.
Pleased to meet you. Wow, you're a Jedi Knight, too, aren't you?
Kagan looks proud of Obi-Wan.
He is only a Padawan learner, but he will become one.
Obi-Wan gives the boy a confused look. Anakin is sure he doesn't like him. Obi-Wan then turns his head to Kagan. He is watching him, too. He watches even more than he does. What does he see that he hasn't? Padme winces at the harsh wind blowing from the street.
The storm is picking up fast.
Do you have a shelter?
We'll head back to our ship.
Is it far?
It's on the outskirts.
The Jedi do not realize how fast storms come up or how bad they can be.
You'll never reach the outskirts in time. Even Jedi wouldn't survive long in a sandstorm. You can wait it out in the slave quarters.
Slave quarters? Is it safe?
It's my home. My mom won't mind. Come with me, but...
But?
Only if you tell me why you're here.
Then they hear the distant sounds of the bounty hunters beyond the building. Not the moment to enjoy an introduction ceremony.
Not the time and place.
Anakin's and Qui-Gon's eyes meet.
I will tell you later.
Anakin grins, glad that he would spend more time with the Jedi.
Follow me!
Shielding her eyes, Padme follows the slave through the approaching storm.
Master, what's going on?
Qui-Gon repeats in the same tone.
I will tell you later, too.
The Jedi and the princess trail the slave. The wind gusts in a series of sharp blasts that sent sand and loose debris flying. The howling of the wind has increased. A gust of wind whips down the street, rattling the framework of poles and causing the awning to billow. A second gust sends dust swirling in all directions. Qui-Gon, Obi-Wan, Padme, and Anakin are hiding in the narrow gap between buildings, watching bounty hunters running past on the street. They wince their eyes in the wind. Padme can see the lights of the spaceports and the occasional solitary gleam of a moisture farmer's wretched dwelling. The lights tell her things the daylight cannot, the glare of the sun can hide, and the sand can camouflage, but most creatures like to have lights at night. They reveal themselves. She has seen many of the worlds, and this one is so different. Noisy, dusty, dangerous, it is all those things, but it is also crammed full of life.
Conchita de Bala?
Bosca de Street.
Qui-Gon and Anakin peek out. The bounty hunters have equipped themselves with desert scarves, protecting from head to neck, and have been looking around the different sections of the market. Anakin shakes his head, his troubled eyes look off into the distance.
If my master figures out what's up, I'm dead.
Your master can wait.
The street now seems empty. Scanning around, Padme moves out with the blaster raised. Anakin grabs her hand to stop her.
What?
Anakin points to a gangway across the street, and soon enough, a bounty hunter walks out of it, having to run to his friends with his pants partially up.
This isn't my first time getting chased by people.
Qui-Gon stares at Anakin. There is something to this boy.
Now, move.
Anakin leads his newly adopted straight into the wind howling in the streets. Through the rising storm, they head to Mos Espas poorest areas. Situated on the outskirts of the spaceport, the slave quarters row is the place where the slaves live. Padme can just make out the buildings, small and shabby and built out of what seems to be sand mixed with a harder substance. Stacked on top of each other, the structures look more like cubbyholes than houses. Although Tatooine is booming with spaceports and travelers, the gap between the tourists and those who actually live on the planet has widened to a disastrous degree. People from all over the galaxy are visiting to attend the pod race, luxury speeders are driving around the roads, and clubs and restaurants are overflowing, but the majority of the workforce is comprised of slaves that live in the shantytown without electricity or running water. The Jedi and Padme hide while Anakin rushes to the door. The doors have no speaker or buzzer, which means Anakin has to notify the resident in the most primitive way. He bangs the door with his fist.
Mom? Mom! I'm home!
Anakin beats the door again.
Hey, it's me, Annie. Open the door.
No reply. The two Jedi and Padme take cover and looked off. The group of bounty hunters is returning from the now closed fish market and starting down the street in the direction of the slave quarter. The group has ballooned to 20, and even the two Jedi cannot handle that number of skilled bounty hunters in the open space.
Mom? Are you in there?
Anakin, heart pounding, continues pounding the door. His voice gets louder. Padme pulls out the blaster and takes aim toward the bounty hunters, glancing around. They don't hear Anakin's pleading due to the storm, but they will when they get closer.
Do you think you can handle them?
Do you think we're gods?
Anakin is practically screaming. He knows it is dangerous.
Mom! Wake up! Wake up!
His maniac pounding is broken by the ignition of Qui-Gon's lightsaber. The weapon destroys the door's lock, allowing Anakin to open the door. Anakin slides the door open with all his strength and rushes into the pitch-dark hovel. In a fraction of a second, he feels an immediate danger. He is not even thinking. On instinct, Anakin jumps and grabs a ceiling beam, and using the momentum, he lets go of the beam and jumps off like a gymnast, dodging an incoming blaster bolt flying toward him. His feet touch the floor, and he grabs two frying pans from a kitchen that occupies one wall to block knives and forks headed toward him. The room is so dark he couldn't see the projectiles, but somehow Anakin managed to deflect them in 2 precise swings. The deflected knife flies toward Qui-Gon's head so that he has to dodge it. Anakin then rolls to the other side and takes cover behind the wall just before blaster fire hits him. Qui-Gon sees Anakin's athletic abilities in full view, frowning and speechless. Holding the lightsaber, Obi-Wan charges into the hovel to dispatch the bounty hunters inside.
Obi-Wan.
Obi-Wan is halted when Anakin raises his arm to show his palm toward him.
Stop!
Anakin then peeks out from the cover. The 3 shadows behind the flipped table are throwing projectiles.
Listen! I'm Anakin! Don't you recognize me?
The attacks stop. Still on alert, they come out of cover, revealing not the bounty hunters, but the 3 teenage kids. They are wearing the bomb collars like Anakin, and they are afraid of the guests. Very afraid. Wald lowers his blaster, and Owen lowers his throwing knife.
Annie?
Owen?
A human girl with blonde hair stands beside Owen.
Baru?
We could only hear banging.
Unless Duke sparking.
What are you doing here?
We couldn't get to our home in time. Your mother offered us shelter.
The wind is blowing into the hovel, shaving a flesh layer of skin from the interior walls.
There's a storm coming. Close the door.
Padme enters the shelter and seals it before the bounty hunters notice the door. Once it is closed, there is silence.
Where's my mom?
She's sleeping.
Oh my!
Anakin's mother enters from a bedroom off to one side, covering her mouth.
Annie, what's this? Is that a Jedi?
She points at Obi-Wan, who still holds his ignited blue lightsaber. Realizing his mistake, Obi-Wan deactivates his weapon, but it's too late. Though Qui-Gon is not worried about that. His interest lies in Anakin. Anakin guesses he was surprised that he'd evaded the blaster fire because he throws him a strange look again. As if he thought he saw something, but wasn't sure. It wouldn't be the last time he'd look at him that way, but it would be a while until he knows what it means. Footnote. The movie wants the audience to sympathize with Anakin's tragic life as a slave. This is arguably one of the core dramatic pillars not only in this movie, but the whole trilogy, yet the movie fails to communicate this to the audience. One of the problems with the prequels is that they don't convey information in easy and digestible ways. Lucas has said, Star Wars films are basically silent movies, but if you mute the dialogue of The Phantom Menace, how are you supposed to know that Anakin is a slave when he just looks and acts like a regular kid without any dialogue? He has a loving mother, his master treats him like an employee. You would expect the movie would visually convey Anakin's repressed outlook, but there is no moment of Anakin getting extorted or showing his misery. Redone's depiction of an Episode 1 Anakin takes inspiration from Conan from Hayao Miyazaki's Future Boy Conan, Icon from the Korean animated series 2020 Space Wonder Kitty, and Jim Hawkins from Treasure Island, in particular, Disney's Treasure Planet and the 1978 TV anime series, and as a result, he is a more active, animated, funnier, and playful protagonist, but instead of a Marvel quip machine that is always trying to be witty, his comedy can come from the unintentional result of his straight-faced approach, tied to his childlike nature. As one of the ways to reinforce this, Redone makes Anakin a pickpocket, and this alone changes the Tatooine part for the better. In the movie, Anakin's encounter was passive and the focus of the story was not on him. However, changing Anakin's meeting by stealing the Jedi's lightsaber not only makes him an active protagonist, it adds drama to the meeting. Anakin's introduction to Jedi is less expository and more direct. This creates sympathy for Anakin's life, conveying how harsh to live in Tatooine as a slave that he had to resort to being a burglar to make his life tolerable, one of the few exciting things he could do amidst the mind-numbing slave life. You instantly understand the character. It also helps that rather than Qui-Gon Jinn wanting Anakin to become a Jedi first and Anakin being somewhat hesitant in the movie, in Redone, Anakin is desperate to become a Jedi and escape his slave life as soon as he meets Qui-Gon. Anakin revealing his character information to pitch himself for the Jedi to recruit him makes a more natural exposition scene than him explaining himself to Padme in the shop just because he thought she was an angel. Anakin's desperation adds an active nature to his character. The scene also serves as a homage to the scene in A New Hope, in which C-3PO pitches himself to Owen. However, I also wish to preserve Anakin's innocence and purity from the movie as well. Despite the harsh environments, he still has a heart and tries to help people as much as possible. his aspirations and dreams are still core components of Anakin. One of the primary objectives of Redone is to make Anakin's Force power clear and impactful, the reason for the Jedi to recruit him in the first place. To bring up the silent movie argument again, the movie introduces Anakin's Force power to the audience only through Qui-Gon's exposition about the midichlorian from Anakin's blood test result. How are we supposed to feel Anakin's unprecedented Force ability? Slow-paced, long exposition, all dialogues, all happening amidst some of the most uneventful parts of the movie, where no tension is really happening. It doesn't illustrate what Qui-Gon sees in Anakin other than a high midichlorian count, which is telling, not showing. The closest part to Anakin using the Force in The Phantom Menace is him winning the pod race, which again, never really shows the Force, and him destroying the Trade Federation station seems more of a Jar Jar-like happy accident than anything. As far as establishing what is special about Anakin, it's an utter dud. Despite Rey in The Force Awakens receiving Mary Sue criticisms against her character, at least the movie conveyed her Force powers visually. While Redone's Anakin isn't as powerful from the get-go, we do see more hints of Anakin's extraordinary abilities, such as his instincts and physical capabilities. We see him unconsciously using the Force, such as making the Jedi doll fall and the floating pebbles. Qui-Gon noticing him dodging the attack, showing his podracer badge, and his clear mind. And that is shown through the chase set pieces on Tatooine, where Anakin shows his physical skills. He is not just an ordinary slave boy on Tatooine, but is clearly gifted with special abilities. Qui-Gon Jinn witnessing this comes to play an important part in these characters and the decision to raise Anakin as a Jedi. This creates an action scene set in Mos Espa to pace up the story. In the movie, most Tatooine scenes are so static with little to no excitement until the pod racing. Redone boosts the pace of this plotline, and Anakin's introduction requires a little amount of dialogue. The viewer gets what is happening just by watching the visuals like, a silent movie. In particular, the set piece was inspired by Marathon Men, where Dustin Hoffman was chased throughout the streets of New York, but saved by his neighbors, who replaced Shmi's role in offering the Jedi the shelter from the sandstorm. Mos Espa stirs as a gust of wind ripples against the buildings. The sounds become constant. The abruptness and ferocity of it surprise even the bounty hunters. Sandstorms are frequent on Tatooine, and they arrive fast and don't give much warning. Already, sand and dust have begun to blow down. Through the storm, we zoom toward the window of Shmi's hovel, where we see Obi-Wan's face looking out. Obi-Wan stands beside the window. He is still on alert, keeping his eyes on the street. Grains of sand beat against the thick glass of the window with a rapid poking sound. Because the slaves' hovels do not have electricity, they have to use candles to light main room, a smallish space dominated by a table and chairs, creating dark, moody surroundings except for the large table. There are openings in the hovel that lead to smaller nooks and sleeping rooms. Shmi uses the food capsules Qui-Gon had given them to prepare dinner. Qui-Gon and Padme occupy the ends of the table, while Anakin and the fellow slaves sit at its sides. They look as if they haven't bathed for a week. What does the home of a slave look like? Padme didn't know what to expect. She has seen small houses on Alderaan, but she has never seen anything like this.
You were lucky that we weren't Watto.
Our masters get in using the key, not destroying the lock in the middle of the storm.
Anyone could tell you, but it was a burglary.
They say that children and parents resemble each other. Your son was kind enough to help us, madam.
Shmi puts the plates on the table.
We tend to help each other. My name is Shmi. Anakin and I are pleased to have you as our guests.
Qui-Gon pulls out the credits and puts on the table for compensation.
Take this. It's only Republic credits, but it's enough for a new door.
Shmi takes it. 80 credits for the compensation and lodging. More than enough.
Thank you very much. I'm sorry if I couldn't greet you on time. I'll never get used to Anakin's surprises, I guess.
He's a very special boy.
Shmi's eyes lift again, and the look she gives him suggests she already knows for a fact.
Yes, I know.
Anakin looks at Wald, whose blaster is hanging on the wall.
Where did you get the blaster?
Ah, about that.
Anakin grins.
Found somewhere or other.
You can say that.
Please, Hegui, tell my master.
If you have the weapon, why not just run?
Her words prompt the slaves to laugh.
Does she not know?
Of orders.
Padme ducks her head, confused and embarrassed. Shmi becomes solemn. More protective of her son's station, she is making an effort to help their guests appreciate the severity of their situation by pointing to her collar.
All slaves wear transmitters around their necks. Any attempt to escape this planet or break the collar,
they blow you up!
Oof.
Obi-Wan shushes them. He is fixating on looking at the window.
Settle down.
Kagan gets up and approaches him, looking in the direction of where Obi-Wan is pointing. Outside, they can see the few people walking are the bounty hunters, wearing heavy sandproof armor to endure the storms. They are still looking for the Jedi even in this condition. As Kagan and Obi-Wan are on guard, the others continue the conversation, but in the lower voices.
I've been working on a way to deactivate this thing, but no luck.
Padme's life hasn't always been full of riches, but now she knows that she'd never even glimpsed the kind of hard effort that the slaves here face, just to get through one day.
I can't believe there is still slavery in the galaxy. The Republic's anti-slavery laws should.
The Republic doesn't exist out here.
We're forced to survive on our own.
There is no future here. Not for us, not for you, not for anybody.
Padme has placed all her faith in the Republic. Its laws are formalized and enforced throughout the galaxies, yet there are places, whole worlds, where they are ignored. Is she placing too much faith in the Senate? Padme turns to Jedi Master Kagan, standing next to Obi-Wan at the window side.
Why is the Senate still allowing these slavers to operate anyway? Do they even know what's even happening here?
Should I ask the Senate?
Baru shrugs. Kagan turns to the table.
I'm afraid that there are still many bureaucrats, judges, and even senators on the payrolls of the slaver guilds.
The guilds of slavers?
She echoes with anger and distaste. All in the galaxy know well the depravity and perverseness of slavery.
The Separatist Alliance has vowed to keep the living properties legal, while the Republic Senate only lip services to abolish them in fear of powerful interests.
Why?
It is an innocent why. The kids don't know any of how they work.
They always argue it's all for the economy.
Let vermin fester, grind trillions to die for money?
The worse we get, the better they get, like some iron law of nature.
Anakin feels the emotions swirling around him, hurt, frustration, anger. He isn't even looking at Kagan, he is just staring off into the distance.
Then I say, take their kids and kill them. Not cold, starving slaves. Make their economy with their kids.
It moves Padme's emotions. Kagan can understand him. There is no one to side with the likes of him. No one has the resources to enforce the law or cares enough, and the slavers push to block any enforcement of the laws of the Republic, so slavery continues because everyone lets it happen. There is an awkward silence as they look away, not knowing what else to say.
I can live with poverty. I can't stand injustice.
Kagan sees the dream he was never able to realize in this boy's instincts. An unfulfilling slave with a sense of righteousness. He has the wild spirit of an untamed animal.
Surely, a Jedi would understand us.
Have you come to free us?
Instead, Kagan looks upset about himself.
I'm afraid not.
For a moment the kids feel disappointed, but there is defiance in Anakin's eyes. Anakin is eager to tell him about his dream of becoming a Jedi and freeing the slaves on Tatooine.
I think you have. This town is a spaceport. Why else would you land in the desert?
He is sharp, Kagan notices. Kagan gives a curious stare at him again. What can he tell him? Somehow, he doesn't want to lie to him, but he has only just met him. Something in the boy's manner makes Kagan shiver. He seems so sure. He could already get them in trouble if he lets the wrong people know about their mission. He shouldn't make things worse by telling Anakin the truth about why they are on Tatooine, but he can't help it. He leans forward, like how a father would.
I can see there's no fooling you. You mustn't let anyone know about us. We're on our way to Coruscant on a very important mission, and it must be kept secret.
Obi-Wan is frustrated. Kagan Jinn is not an ordinary Jedi Master.
Master Qui-Gon, what are you doing?
Sometimes honesty is the best policy to avoid further complications.
Coruscant? Wow.
How did you end up here in the Outer Rim?
Our ship was damaged, and we're stranded here until we can repair it.
That's enough.
Anakin is anxious to be of service to them. He gets up.
I can help. I can fix anything.
Peach.
No, you can't.
Anakin then winces in pain, grabbing hold of his arm and taking a seat again. He was already injured in the pod race, and tonight did not help him.
Ouch.
Shmi holds Anakin's arm. Padme glances at Kagan.
Perhaps you gave too much away.
Kagan smiles upon seeing the enthusiasm of the slaves.
I believe you, but our first task is to acquire the parts we need, and only Anakin's shop has them.
That junk dealer must have a weakness of some kind.
Just mucha hoja.
Stealing parts is no pickpocketing. Watto always equips his stuff with trackers.
And he knows you're after that hyperdrive.
Even if you succeed, Watto and the Hutts will suspect us, and...
Shmi strokes Anakin's collar. If the robbery goes south, the heads of the Jedi and the Alderaanians will fly. If they steal and escape, the heads of the slaves will fly. Kagan speaks what has been in his mind for a while. He was unsure of it, but that's been changing as he watched Anakin.
Anakin, you told us there's the final race day after tomorrow. The prize money would more than pay for the parts for our ship.
Anakin realizes the meaning behind his question.
Are you asking me too?
Ah, very funny.
The Jedi Master has caught the look in Padme's eyes. He meets her gaze, acknowledging her consternation. Weariness and concern reflect in her eyes. Anakin's face lights up.
My pod is the fastest ever. You could enter my pod. It's all but finished.
Anakin, Watto won't let you.
He will. I know him.
I don't want you to race, Annie. It's awful. I die every time Watto makes you do it.
But, Mom, they need my help.
Hold on. We have nothing to bet.
Obi-Wan turns back to the table.
Your mother's right. Let's drop the matter. Do you know of anyone friendly to the Republic who might be able to help us? Anyone?
Obi-Wan scans everyone. Owen, Barrow, and Wald all fall silent and unmoving. Shmi thinks the matter through. She shakes her head.
No.
We should at least decide after talking to the dealer. It's only one of many paths we can take.
Only a thought, for now. He gazes at Anakin. Obi-Wan does, too, though unlike Kagan, it is clear he does not like it. Here, the overgrowth blocks out even a tiny patch of sky. It is as though they are in a deep green bubble, a bubble that smells like rot. Captain Panika's team takes a rest in a clearing of the sacred place, surrounded by the massive heads and limbs of stone statues. At one end is a large, ruined temple covered with vines and moss, and the statues are broken and lying on the ground. A large stone eye gives them a hostile stare. Massive heads, carved of stone, stand among the ruins. Part of a column. A statue with no arms or torso. Some sort of archway. Vines twist around the decaying stone, and tendrils drift across the grass like fingers clutching at their feet. Everything is half buried in weeds and muck. Some of the heads had sunk up to their eyes in the swamp. The sacred place was built by the Gungan elders ages ago, but throughout the multiple conflicts, the Gungans were driven back to the water, and it has been decaying as the forgotten ruins ever since. It now serves as a sanctuary for the Alderaanians in troubled times. While everyone else is setting up the camp here, Queen Breha Antilles, who now goes by Alana, keeps working on the transmission receiver in vain hope. Time and time again, it is receiving nothing but disruption from the Separatists. Captain Panika approaches her.
Please, they've blocked our off-world communications.
Alana refuses to give up. She has been changing the channels for an hour, only to see nothing but static and hear the noises, which get louder. The noise pierces her ears like a needle. She hits the device with her palm in frustration. She leans on the transmitter and puts her hand on her forehead. No one is coming here to help them. Panika pats her shoulder.
You need to sleep.
When Panika turns to return to his guards, he hears the transmission is beeping. Alana raises her head, and her eyes widen. It is not their imagination. Panika rushes to the device to take a look.
We're receiving a message.
The guards and the handmaidens begin roaring. Perhaps the Republic has come to rescue them. Alana taps on the receive button and two holograms shimmer weakly above the transmitter. She expects them to be Senator Palpatine or Chancellor Valorum. As they fade in and out and the voice breaks up, the transmission becomes clearer every second to reveal Viceroy Newt Gunray and Won Hwang, and the portions that come through clearly are disturbing.
Attention! We are aware. Breha and Chili's is still in Alderaan, hiding it. One that escaped the blockade is her body double.
Everyone watching the message has turned pale. Somehow they figured out the plan. Alana wonders if they are bluffing or, worse, captured Padme. Now, the hologram has stabilized to broadcast a clearer message, showing the battle droids shoving the Royal Advisory Council members all tied in their backs before the holocom. Droid Commander OOM-9 stands beside them.
Perhaps the head of the council may think differently from the spineless queen. She will help her understand why she needs to return to Alderaan.
Yes, I would.
Newt croaks, a smirk twisting his bloodless lips as Zala Typho steps forward.
Only if you take your Federation-made tin toys and shove them into shock fodder.
What a fool she is. Disgusted, Rune decides to end this conversation. It is true that the Alderaanians are still useful to the Separatists, but it's also important for them to know who is really in charge.
Are you aware of one advantage a droid army can have? Sounds like someone needs a demonstration. I will show you exactly how these tin toys work.
Alana looks nervous. Does he have something dire up his sleeve? Won Hwang raises a finger at the governor. The droids hold themselves at ease, but she feels the power in their stillness.
I take my hand like this. I point and bang!
When Rune folds his finger like pulling a trigger, OOM-9 fires his blaster at her head. Sparks erupt from the head. Governor Typho falls dead, her head blackened, smoldering. All of the hot plasma expanded inside her head, making her unrecognizable. They can't watch any longer. The captives scream and dart in fear as the droids surround them. Typho's eyes wearing a stunned, blank look turn Alana's stomach. She covers her mouth with her hand, having a hard time swallowing a scream. She didn't want to see that. Typho was her close aide and friend, and she'd marched her to death. There is no way to fix that, no way to make it better. Breha forces herself to look, to remember. She'd need to tell her family. Captain Panika's eyes become sharp with anger.
The best thing about droids is they have no sense of guilt, remorse, or shame.
Rune spits out the words and smiles. Rune turns away, making a show of being bored. Newt does enjoy terrifying loyalists. It's too easy, but it's pleasurable.
Alderaanian people, you were warned. Her blood is on Breha and Chili's hands. Enough lies, enough cheating. Your queen is hiding not for the sake of Alderaan, but for the Republic.
The sight makes Alana want to weep, but she won't give them the satisfaction.
Every 30 minutes, we will choose 30 citizens at random and execute them until Breha and Chili's comes out of hiding.
Alana raises her hand to hit a respond button, but Panika grabs her hand. He shuts the transceiver.
It's a trick. Send no reply.
If they transmit anything, the Separatists will trace it back to them. And if they find them, they will catch them. Without enough troops, they are an easy target. He's right, probably, but that doesn't mean people aren't suffering. At least Bibble is still alive.
Captain.
Panika turns to the troops in the clearing, all gathered around for the transmission.
That transmission was bait to establish a trace. Send no transmissions of any kind.
He repeats, eyeing them until they all nod.
Yes, sir.
She registers what he says, but her gaze remains steady on the transceiver. Panika's gaze shifts to Alana. Alana stares at him for a moment, then nods in acquiescence. Captain Panika heads off without further comment to scan the forest. How can she watch her people starve, and die, and not give in? In the silence that follows, the sorrow in her chest multiplies and rises until she can feel it as a bitter taste in her mouth. Footnote. Throughout The Phantom Menace, moreover, the trilogy, we never really see the Trade Federation/Separatists committing a truly abhorrent act. In A New Hope, the Imperials murder Luke's family and commit a planetary genocide. In The Force Awakens, the First Order massacres villagers and wipes out the Republic's capital system. These deaths are presented as raw, upsetting events for the audience to see. None of this depiction of casualty is in The Phantom Menace. For a story about the circumstances around a military invasion of a peaceful country, the Trade Federation's occupation of the Naboo is such emotionally detached you have to try your hardest to feel for the invasion the filmmakers intended. How is the audience supposed to sympathize with the
The death toll is catastrophic. We must bow to their wishes. You must contact me.
when all we see is Newt Gunray just escorting the royalties around in the palace? Instead of the Naboo being a place of living, breathing people impacted by the invasion, the movie is uninterested in depicting the suffering of the Naboo people. This is the ticking time bomb for the heroes that they need to get to the Naboo before it is too late, but if no one is suffering, what does it matter if our heroes get to the Naboo now or years from now? Why should we care? The ingredients of a potentially gripping premise are already there, but Lucas' lifeless filmmaking is so stiff and dry, that the film fails to make the audience invest in what is happening. Redone ties the suffering of Alderaanians into the decoy subplot, with Maul realizing the one on Tatooine is fake and the Separatists appealing to the Queen's humanity. It gives needed villainy to the Separatists to show they achieve the goal by any means necessary and boosts the stakes as well as pulling some emotional moments from the characters. The Trade Federation was a pathetic excuse for a villain. Both Newt Gunray and Rune Haeko were not much of a character but an expository figurehead for Darth Sidious. Watch the movie again, and you will notice nearly all their scenes boil down to explaining what is going on in the plot. This would be fine if they had the charisma or the power to clash with Darth Maul to hide that exposition as Tarkin did with Vader in A New Hope, but they do not. They are persistently boring. Redone gives him a captor trait to Rune Haeko's character similar to Gary Oldman's character from Air Force One, an intimating quality somewhat different from other villains in the series.